Welcome to the 9/11 War Room, a weekly roundtable discussion that takes place every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Tune in at 911warroom.com.
Welcome to the 9/11 War Room. My name is Gene.
My name is Sandra. Today is July the 12th, and we have episode 243.
Aye. Got a bit of news to get through here today, and then we'll open up the table. I want to spend some time talking about this. I'm just going to briefly mention it right now, and we'll come back to it later. This is FDNY Chief of Department John Esposito during that Midtown Manhattan building that was allegedly starting to buckle and in possibility of collapse. And he made this statement.
The way this building is constructed, it's a steel frame building, so it would not be a total collapse. It would be more of a localized collapse, but that remains our concern.
Going to replay it one more time in case you didn't hear what he said there.
The way this building is constructed, it's a steel frame building, so it would not be a total collapse. It would be more of a localized collapse.
Now, some people in the comments and social media have said, well, he was talking about that building. He wasn't talking about the building that had a plane hit it with, tons of fuel. Now, if you analyze the sentence, he was saying steel frame buildings would have a localized collapse. There would never be a global collapse. And again, we'll get back to this in the discussion later on.
Local.
Yeah.
And the towers had local damage.
Yeah. So that's created some memes around that, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's get to the other news first. 9/11 Museum CEO reflects on lasting impact of terror attacks as America marks the 250th birthday. The CEO is Elizabeth Hillman, and she made some comments that I found striking. Just want to read what she said here. Hillman said it's more important than ever for future generations to learn about the September 11th, 2001 terrorist attacks to understand how they helped shape the nation and where we are today. Now 25 years have passed since that date, so if we don't elevate 9/11 in the eyes of the 100 million Americans who were born since or were too young to remember 9/11 when it happened, we'll lose the opportunity for them to understand what happened on that day and how the world came to heal, how our nation came together, and how this city and the other sites, the Pentagon and Shanksville, Pennsylvania, worked to recover afterward, she said. Hillman said the nation's recovery after 9/11 shows that even after a devastating tragedy, people can come together, heal, and rebuild. She finishes in saying, I think everyone's hungry for evidence that we can survive things that are difficult. She said, there's nothing like 9/11 to help people realize, given how the nation has recovered since, that it is possible to persevere, heal, and recover, even in the face of really unfathomable loss. And that's what 9/11 has the chance to teach us. And I reflect on that, and I know she means one thing, but when I read it, I get the feeling we've come together as a group of people that are ready to heal this nation with the truth of getting to what really happened that day and educating the young people and people our age and older people, basically everybody, on what happened. So I thank you all for continuing to be part of this 9/11 truth movement, even if we disagree on certain things. That I think everybody's heart here is truly to get justice. And I don't want to lose sight of that, because people like this are just really hard on pushing the official narrative, and I don't want to let that go. Next news story. New York City seeks dismissal of 9/11 toxins records lawsuit as document review continues. We covered this last week. I just wanted to repeat. Hours after Mayor Mamdani vowed to release New York City documents about the toxins swirling above Ground Zero in the days after 9/11 in time for the 25th anniversary of the attacks, city lawyers asked a judge to quash a lawsuit requesting the same papers the Daily News has learned. It's problematic that this hasn't happened once with Mamdani. And it goes on to say later on in the article, every mayor between Giuliani and Eric Adams has fought requests for the release of any 9/11 studies and documents, claiming they couldn't find them. The city has also repeatedly said it was worried about a barrage of lawsuits from survivors and first responders suffering from 9/11 illnesses if the documents were released. That's just bad faith right there. for them to say we don't want to release the information because we're afraid we're just going to get sued. That's terrible. I'm going to go on. It says more than 9,000 people have now died from 9/11 related illnesses, nearly 3 times the number killed on September 11th, 2001 itself. More than 140,000 first responders and survivors are enrolled in the U.S. Center for Disease Control's World Trade Center Health Program, which provides healthcare benefits for medical conditions related to exposure to the toxins that hung over Ground Zero. Out of that number, about 81,000 have a certified condition linked to those toxins. 81,000. This last paragraph really kills me. The unearthed documents won't likely cause a flurry of lawsuits since first responders and survivors who are receiving help from the World Trade Center Health Program and the 9/11 Victims Compensation Fund have already signed waivers agreeing not to sue over their illnesses. More than 100,000 have signed these waivers, officials said. You got 100,000 people that qualify for some type of compensation for being harmed in that, and the city's afraid of being sued, so they have these people signing waivers. 100,000 people. 9,000 people, they said, already died. This is repugnant. It's a terrible travesty, and if you guys would just continue to keep that in prayer that these records do come forth and we can get justice for those folks. That's just
Can you clarify? I wasn't quite sure reading the first paragraph. Is this article saying that Mamdani wants them out and yet his own lawyers have tried to block it? I don't quite understand.
It's confusing because you get into it and he's already said that he's investing. The dismissal was filed just hours after Mamdani announced that $34 million had been added to the city's budget so that the law department could create an online portal for people to access documents about post 9/11 air quality and health risks. So the way I read it, he's talking out both sides of his mouth. Yeah, we're going to have this portal to look at documents, but then he gets his lawyers to say, we can't find anything. So
I see. Yeah, he's having his cake and eating it too. Okay.
Yeah. There's that one. Next news story. On the heels of that, Mamdani helped break ground. Tragedy to triumph. New York City breaks ground on final World Trade Center commercial building 25 years after 9/11, what they're calling the new World Trade Center 2. The Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, American Express, and it's hard to even say his name, Silverstein Properties, broke ground Thursday on the construction of 2 World Trade Center, which will complete the commercial component of the World Trade Center's redevelopment after the campus was destroyed by the worst terrorist attack in American history 25 years ago. It goes on to say, we are standing today on hallowed ground. Again, it's just deep down inside me, a righteous anger, if you can. I don't know if a human can have righteous anger, but the fact that these people can say that they're on hallowed ground, building a new building for commercial purposes and not investigating what really happened that day is just really bothers me. 25 years ago this September, a horrific terror attack was launched against our city, against the building that rose here that carried the same name, the mayor said. The towers fell. Thousands of our fellow New Yorkers were killed. Our city was plunged into grief. And yet here he is trying to block documents from being released. It's just... Next news story. On the heels of that, somebody that some of you may know who he is. If you remember the name, don't spoil it for everyone else because I got a clip on him coming up. But NJ Burkett reports about the new World Trade Center groundbreaking.
Eyewitness News reporter NJ Burkett live this afternoon in Lower Manhattan. NJ?
And right, Sandra, it's taken more than 2 decades, but there is finally a plan for 2 World Trade Center, and in the coming months and years, it's going to take shape. It's going to be a dramatic new addition to the skyline and an economic vote of confidence in the future of New York City.
It will be the final piece in the redevelopment of the World Trade Center. A new 2 World Trade Center will rise from the northeast corner of the 16-acre site. At 55 stories, it'll be 550 feet shorter than 1 World Trade Center directly to the west. It will have 2 million square feet of office space and will be occupied entirely by the American Express Company as its new world headquarters. 1, 2, 3. Company executives joined with political leaders for the ceremonial groundbreaking.
When many question...
Yeah, so that's that. For anybody that didn't remember the name N.J. Burkett, here's a clip from where he was on September 11th.
Take 2 and 2, 1. This is as close as we can get to the base of the World Trade Center. You can see the firemen assembled here, the police officers, FBI agents, and you can see the two towers. A huge explosion now, raining debris on all of us. We better get out of the way.
Yep. That was the same N.J. Burkett that was there that day. That's actually, I'm amazed to see him still around and still an anchor person for the news agency. So thoughts and prayers with him. Next news story from Reason Magazine. Scrap it and start all over. Ex-Bush and Obama officials say the war on terror's powers have gone too far. Really? Alberto Gonzales, who was the White House counsel on September 11th, 2001, and later Attorney General, and Jay Johnson, who was General Counsel of the Department of Defense and Secretary of Homeland Security under former President Barack Obama, provided a rare window into a question at the Aspen Ideas Festival late last month in a conversation that spanned the 2001 authorization for use of military force, torture, and Guantanamo Bay. He says, quote, "I think President Bush and certainly I were stunned. We're surprised that the AUMF is still in existence and relied upon, quite frankly," said Gonzales. "That resolution, which gave the president power to use force against the nations, groups, and people involved in 9/11, has been invoked continuously to carry out counterterrorism activities in a slew of countries, even when our mission appears to have little connection to the terrorist attacks almost 25 years ago. We never envisioned that it would go beyond dealing with the particular threat that existed in 2001, Gonzales continued. I think all of us have an obligation to ensure that our branches of government are checked when they exercise power, particularly the executive branch, even in a time of war." Did they ever really think they were going to get that genie back in the bottle? I doubt it, but they're paying good lip service. So if anybody's interested in that news story, I'll put the link in the show notes. Next one. This is from the New York Times. What led to 9/11? A 3,000-page CIA novel makes a case. This is fiction. For those that are into that, to read the whole life and career of the fictional CIA analyst Elliot Stevens, codename Stephen Victor Andrews, just kidding, Stephen, Dave, codename Dave, together with the cavalcade of intelligence failures that led to and followed the worst terrorist attack in American history, you can buy the entirety of William T. Volman's new 3,000-page novel, A Table for Fortune, as a 4-volume box set. Goes on to say, luckily, in a surprisingly revealing but oddly self-deprecating 8-page preface, Volman states his intention in his first sentence. A Table for Fortune is about September 11th. He goes on to report his problems bringing this intention to publication. Paper costs be damned. Staring down a ballooning manuscript, his longtime editor at Viking asked him to make some cuts. Volman swears that he hacked and amputated and abbreviated, yet somehow the book ended up hundreds of pages longer. So I was justly fired, Volman writes. Arcade Publishing eventually picked up the project. So if anybody's into reading really lengthy volumes, you can check that out.
That sounds like the CIA came in and rewrote part of it.
That could be.
How long is War and Peace, by the way?
I don't know.
Not that long.
The next one is just a loosely related. I found it interesting. Coffee with the IWI Fellows, which stands for Irregular Warfare Initiative. So they started this new podcast, and some of it, it's interesting what they say here. The discussions explores the transition from long-term nation building toward high-skill, low-footprint operations that utilize specialized forces and rapidly evolving technologies. Among the topics discussed, highlight how the conflict in Ukraine serves as a laboratory for testing autonomous weapons and AI-enabled systems in a persistent state of hybrid warfare. What I found most interesting in this, they say here, success depends on maintaining a clear understanding of the information environment and effectively countering disinformation to ensure decision makers and the public have valid information. So irregular warfare, guerrilla tactics, I think that's what we're into. We are doing just that. We are trying to counter disinformation and ensure decision makers have and the public have valid information. So if anybody's into that kind of stuff, I will put that link in the show note. Next, Matt Campbell, Roger Waters take on Piers Morgan in a heated interview. If anybody saw it, yeah, Piers Morgan, definitely not a 9/11 truth advocate. Got really involved. They got a few clips to show. And I just want to read what the International Center for 9/11 Justice wrote here. This week, Matt Campbell, Roger Waters appeared on Piers Morgan Uncensored to discuss Campbell's landmark UK Supreme Court case, exposing hundreds of thousands of viewers to the legal battle over whether evidence for the demolition of the World Trade Center towers will finally be examined in a court of law. While Piers Morgan repeatedly challenged Waters over his views on 9/11 and sought to portray Waters' support for the case as politically motivated, Campbell consistently brought the conversation back to its central purpose, securing a fair legal hearing in which evidence can be presented under oath and evaluated by a coroner. And he did a great job of that, and I think I have a clip of that. More than 3,000 comments have been posted on the video since it was published on YouTube, with an overwhelming majority favoring Campbell and Waters and criticizing Morgan's handling of the discussion. The interview is another sign that Campbell's historic legal challenge is beginning to break into mainstream. With the 25th anniversary of 9/11 approaching and the UK Supreme Court hearing set for October 14th and 15th, public attention is only likely to grow. Stay tuned for further developments in the coming weeks. And it's great because they're both going to be speaking at the 2026 anniversary event in New York City. So we'll talk about that in a minute too. Here's
But not Piers Morgan.
But not Piers Morgan. Yes, correct. Here's the first of 3 clips. It's a minute, 12 seconds.
My problem is I think that Roger is not quite the knight in shining armor that you may think he is, because I do think he operates from a clear conspiracy theory perspective that the American government were behind what happened on 9/11. And my concern for you is that he might be using you in some way. Are you concerned about that?
I mean, Roger's not using me. To get where I've got today, which is a live case at the Supreme Court, it's taken a lot of money, and that's come from all areas, the public, private donors, etc. Because it's not cheap doing litigation, particularly things like judicial review, and then obviously the Supreme Court. I mean, to your point about there being an investigation, what I am concerned about is my brother, in his original inquest that he had in 2013, I've seen what was put in front of the coroner. There was no investigation whatsoever into what caused his death, how he came about his death. Obviously, all the evidence that has been amassed over the years that wasn't put in front of the coroner has been put into the application to the Attorney General. And all I want is for that evidence to make its way into a coroner's court and for it to be tested under oath.
And a very well-spoken gentleman, I must say. He totally rocked it there, stayed calm, delivered the message. He didn't, he kept a hat on. He kept his mohawk under wraps. So yeah, there's nothing you could say disparaging about what he said there at all. But that didn't stop it from getting heated like this.
Matt Campbell has a right to know why and how his brother
100%, 100%. But you have gone on record with Jimmy Dore as saying that it was the American government that were behind it. So is that what you believe?
Do you know, that's one possibility. It could have been the American government. Why don't we have an investigation, Piers, to find out? That's all.
So,
Matt and I are here for.
You want. Hang on.
Let me finish.
No, you let me finish.
No, you hang on. Don't shout me down. You always try and do that.
You're the one shouting.
Piers, I want to ask you a question. Are you against there being an inquest?
No.
Good. There we are. That's the end of this program.
No, it's
Thank
not.
you very much.
It's not
Piers
because
Morgan says
no,
yes.
It's not.
British government
No,
must
it's
allow
not.
an inquest.
It's not. I'm never against any inquest. I absolutely understand why Matt wants answers to questions he believed remain unanswered.
And one last clip. I know, and then we'll go to the fight. Well, it's 5:20 now. Before I get to the last clip, it's the time when Building 7 fell. I use it as an opportunity just to say a quick prayer for 9/11 justice. So if you guys will just join me for a brief moment. Let's stop screen share. Lord, I come to you right now. I ask for just a blessings and protection over Matt Campbell and this case and all the planning that we're doing to get to this 25th anniversary event. Lord, that you would protect us, give us the wisdom to talk to people, to open doors that need to be open for this to happen, and that minds would finally come to understand just the truth that we're trying to share, that we just want justice for those that were harmed that day and since. Thank you for these things in your name. Amen. Thanks, everybody. Now for the last clip. Here we go.
Within weeks of the event, thousands upon thousands of architects and physicists had come out of the woodwork and stated entirely clearly, and I'm absolutely certain that they were correct, that Building 1 and Building 2 and Building 7 of the World Trade Center in southern New York City fell as controlled demolitions. Now, who planted the explosives to control the demolition? And nobody with an IQ above room temperature disputes this, but it has never been allowed to be heard in a court of law.
Well, actually, loads of people have disputed it. Come on, these are not new theories. They've been espoused.
Disputed this. People like you would dispute it, but you do. You go along with the empire.
The buildings fell
within weeks of the event.
One other little known fact about Roger Waters that I found, I repeated it a couple times, but I found this out from the Architects newspaper. Another brick in the wall. Pink Floyd drummer awarded honorary architecture degree. It seems that 3 of them were architecture students. It says here, British rock band Pink Floyd famously opined, "We don't need no education," and they might be right. The band was founded by a group of architecture students, Nick Mason, Roger Waters, and Richard Wright at the Regent Street Polytechnic, now the University of Westminster, which served as the band's first rehearsal space and performance venue in the early 1960s. As the band gained popularity, the architecture students left school to focus on their music. And it says also here, Waters initially considered a career in mechanical engineering. In 1962, after a series of aptitude tests suggest he was suited for architecture, he enrolled at the Regent Street Polytechnic, where he met his future Pink Floyd bandmates. So how about that? The 3 of the Pink Floyd band members were originally architecture.
That means that Richard can start a new career. Something to fall back on in his retirement days.
Yeah.
There you go. A rock star.
This has to be included in the intro to this guy at the conference.
That's a very interesting piece of information. Yes.
I just want to say a couple of things on that interview.
Mm-hmm.
Matt was clearly very cautious in his approach to the interview. He didn't want to give Piers Morgan any ammunition in the same way that Roger Waters was doing it. Roger Waters spoke his mind very clearly, but I just kept listening for the evidence. Piers came back a dozen times and said, "Where's your evidence? Where's your evidence?" And, he mentioned that, architects and engineers said that it was not possible, it had to be controlled demolition. But, there was no mention of free fall or near free fall. There was no mention of nanothermite. There was very little mention of explosions. It was just presented as witness reports, really. When he asked, how could a project of this magnitude possibly have happened? It would have had to involve so many people. To me, my 100% always rebuttal is the Manhattan Project. That's all you have to say. 100,000 people on the Manhattan Project, and nobody knew they were working on an atomic bomb, except for the few people at the top. So history shows that it's absolutely possible. And so I just kept waiting for that, and either one could have done that. Matt could have even spoken of results found by Cyril Wecht in
I think he might still be under he doesn't want, they're still not in court, so he doesn't want to speak about the evidence because he don't want to get himself in a pickle there. So.
But he wouldn't be saying anything that's been said thousands of times out there. Like, it's just, you can state the fact that, 7 fell at free fall for 2.5 seconds, and what the UAF report showed versus the NIST report. I just thought it was a lost opportunity to really bring out some hard-hitting facts, and but there will be others. So
before I go to Craig,
And the towers came down in Manhattan, right? Manhattan Project 2.
I don't know. Before I go to Craig, I did reach out to Matt and say, hey, you were very well spoken. Reading comments on YouTube, the majority saw through Pierce's poppycock. Had to use an English term. He wrote, cheers, some missed opportunities on my part, but it was heated and wasn't expecting for it to terminate 10 minutes early, because Roger finally checked his watch and saying, well, I think it's about time.
I think we're done.
Yeah, that was that. So, Craig, what do you got?
Yeah, I put my hand up just because it's on this topic, so I figured deal with it now.
Thank you.
I just want to say, and I think this whole thing and what we're talking about is an example of how whenever we get a celebrity kind of joining us, it's sort of a double-edged sword. It's great in the sense that, I mean, Roger Waters gets right on Piers Morgan's show, and maybe you or I wouldn't be able to do that. So that's the plus. And he's very he's known worldwide, and he's well spoken, and he's intelligent. But the negative side is that you're dealing with somebody that probably doesn't know the evidence very well, and so then he gets on a show like that and maybe doesn't really knock it out of the park in terms of conveying the evidence. And then you end up with people watching who kind of say, well, that didn't really convince me. So I guess all I would say about that is that it's something that we as a movement, I just need to keep in mind that it's a double-edged sword. That doesn't mean we reject, famous people joining us, obviously, but it's just, we've got to keep in mind that, it's not just a fix-all just because, wow, we got a famous person.
Yeah,
that's a fair
and there
point.
are possible problems that can come with that.
It's a fair point. I wish we could pin him down like in a Clockwork Orange, where they pin the guy to the chair with his eyes open. Say, here, watch these 100 hours of videos.
But there's a downturn for everything, and one of the trends that I'm starting to notice is that the next generation, or maybe even the over next generation at this point, is starting to run with the 9/11 ball. I'm seeing more and more clips from people I've never heard of. They're like in their 20s and 30s, and some of them make some really, really good videos. Gene has one of those.
Here, I'll just share a clip of it because Saunders sent it to me. I was like, wait a second.
I just want to finish my point quickly.
Yeah.
So there's guys like this that are doing an amazing job and have obviously done the research. And then there's just a lot of crap out there, obviously.
Yeah.
So again, the same as what you're saying, the double-edged sword. There are people running with the ball now, and it's great, but all we can do really is make sure that the information stays correct and accurate. But we can't control what others do and say, but they're putting a spotlight on it, and that's something.
Well, it's just something that we have to be conscious of,
yes,
and
absolutely.
maybe trying to use that person in the best possible way. I mean, there were times like Jesse Ventura got on CNN and openly challenged 9/11. It was like amazing.
Yes.
And then, then he got into some areas that maybe were not as helpful, and so maybe he, in the long run, that didn't end up really advancing the cause as much as we would like. Anyway, we don't necessarily have total control over what those people say. But anyway, and I want to mention one quick thing too, before we move off of me. I just want to mention in terms of the architects and engineers and its role in the whole Campbell thing. Everybody knows that was AE that originally was kind of behind that, and the donors, I think it was like $90,000 that the donors sent in and whatever. So that was all great, but then it kind of got left by the board there. They kind of stepped away from that. And it's worth mentioning, and I only say this just to give that organization its due, is there, I think it was, and Sandra, you may remember the date, I think it was like February 2024, when they were coming up against a deadline where it looked like they weren't going to make the deadline to raise whatever it was, 75,000 or whatever. And they were only in the 20s, like a month You want me to hurry up, Gene?
Yeah,
Is that what you're
please.
saying? Well, then let's just move on then. Let's
What
just
you
move
wanted to
on.
give them credit for? What?
For having
Well,
come
what,
out.
what I wanted to give them credit for was the fact that at that point when it looked like they weren't going to make it, I went to Andy Steele and I said, Andy, we should get Matt on the show on Freefall again and use our donor list to appeal for more funds, because we've got that. And so that deadline was met. So I think I just wanted to make sure that AE got credit for its
Fair
part
enough.
in that.
Aye, aye.
It wasn't just, they left it aside, but then they kind of picked it
Yes.
up and may have played a key role in keeping that case going.
Nobody's begrudging that.
Aye, aye. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll say
Could
this
I
clip
make
that
a
I wanted to
comment on
share. After I get through three hands, and then I'll go to you, Barb.
Well, I want to make a comment on what Greg just said in one sentence.
Okay, go ahead.
Ted Walter has let us know on one of our planning Zooms recently for the conference coming up in New York City that Matt is considerably way behind on raising the funds to go to the Supreme Court. And so anybody who has I don't know if Xander Arena's on this today, but architects and engineers in every single one of our organizations needs to do exactly that right now.
Yeah. Thank you, Barb. Thank you, Craig. Let's go to Jetty in Scotland.
Hiya. On the specifics of the interview, that I think we need to take a step back. We can't expect Roger Waters to start rattling off the kind of evidence that maybe we would. We can't expect that of him. What we're getting from him is access. He could have just signed a check and said, "There you are. There's an anonymous donation," right? And we wouldn't have Matt Campbell on Morgan's show.
Mm-hmm.
But the weakness, take a step back from that argument, right, and look at it in the round. What you've got is two guys here saying this needs to be investigated, and the only comeback that Piers Morgan has is to say who's responsible. Now that's putting the cart before the horse,
right?
But because what they're saying is let's investigate it, and he's saying, well, who are you finding guilty? It's like, well, wait a minute, you do the investigation first. So this is they've actually exposed a huge weakness in the argument that's coming from the mainstream, where you can't have somebody like Piers Morgan have there. The big bit of that interview is where Roger Waters says to him, look, do you support this guy getting this inquest or not? And you could see Piers Morgan was visibly uncomfortable at that, because he couldn't turn around having this family member on his show and say, no, he shouldn't have an inquest. He couldn't say it. And I think that was a huge opportunity. And when Roger Waters says, right, that's it, let's talk about the football, because that's the interview over at that point, because you're saying that this guy is justified. There's a huge weakness in the argument where they're saying, tell us who's guilty and find them guilty before the investigation. It's like they can agree to an investigation. The one thing, if I've got time, that I would like to say is when somebody tries to get you to say, okay, are you saying Israel did it? Are you saying the American government did it? Are you saying who's did it? Well, all you need to say is the same terrorists that were guilty of flying these planes into these buildings could well have had access to put explosives in the buildings if they've got that kind of ability. They could have, but you need to investigate it to know that. Huge hole in Piers Morgan's logic exposed in that interview, and I thought Matt Campbell did exceptionally well.
And I think it's just how. Thank you, Jerry. And it seems that Piers didn't miss an opportunity to use all the tricks by saying that he titled it "Complete Insanity" in capital letters, zero evidence, and then shows this, this poster image that he has for it. And yeah, he kept going to the, well, who did it? Well, who did it? And then he calls him crazy for believing these thoughts. I mean, it's very evident. Maybe he obviously was doing it on purpose, but just eliciting a response. And I appreciate Matt for being the steady rock through that whole thing. That was great.
Definitely.
We'll go to Ross.
Yeah, hi everyone. So regarding back to the Mandani and the Amex American Express building that's down there, down at ground zero. When I heard that news, I knew right away that that could be a problem for us on the 25th anniversary, because that road that is adjacent to the site is one of our main access roads for the that is still on the New York City jurisdiction side, for us to rally the troops around. The last 20th anniversary, they closed that road off, just arbitrarily. So we were not able to access it, and that does significantly affect what we do on that day. So it does seem that we will be. And I went down there, and sure enough, they have completely blocked off that road completely, and it'll be blocked off. It'll be blocked off for the entire construction of the project. So it's going to be years. So, however, what is available now and is a great opportunity once they open it up after the earlier ceremonies is the the frontage road that runs along in front of the museum. There, it's the continuation of West Broadway, and up and down that artery, and also of course our Church Street location is still very good. However, that side street, I think it's Vesey or VC, however we're saying it, and that is blocked. Vesey Street has got a construction that's been going on a couple of years. They're doing something in the road there. But we still have the Church Street access, and we still have the West Broadway artery, which is perfect for me on the skateboard, or anybody that wants to march back and forth with whatever they want, with their shirt on. I don't believe tickets are allowed any longer, but you can have a shirt and you can wave your hand in the air and talk to people. And so that's what looks like it's going to be the case for this anniversary, what we're going to have to deal with. So. But again, the frontage road, once they open that up around 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock, is a great opportunity. And I also will say before and say the day after September. There are also days when there's a lot of people around and it's getting a lot of visibility there. So in the last, can I have another minute? Or?
Sure, go ahead.
All right. So the last piece I would talk about visibility is a project I've got in trying to get in front of Mandani's eyes, and the reason being, two reasons. It's a perfect idea for the city, and he has stipulated that he wants this sort of thing to be happening in the city. It's one of his main programs when he was elected, was that he's going to take unused or underused open space in the city and develop them into parks. So I said that's perfect for what I want to do. So I want to now share my screen and do a flyby for 30 seconds if I can. And let me just share screen.
Hold on.
I can.
Yeah, hang on.
He's got to change the settings.
Yeah, I got it.
Share.
I'm waiting.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. All right, so share screen. All right, so you can see we're looking at Google Earth and we're looking at downtown Manhattan. And I'm going to zoom in here on a piece of basically no man's land. That is a perfect visibility spot. Okay. Now, as you can see, we're flying over the memorial site, as you can see there. And so I'm going to go north of the memorial site just a tad and go up to.
Real quick, stop right there. For anybody that's familiar with that area, if you could hover your hand around where the new World Trade Center 2 is going to be. Whoops.
Okay. So see my mouse?
So zoom in a little. There we go. Wait for your screen's lagging a little bit. So point out where the towers are, or the memorial pools are.
Memorial pools are here, as you can see by the mouse.
There we go. Yes.
And the transportation center here, hub. And then here is where you see all that junk or jumble of material. It's the construction site for the World Trade Center 2.
So it's just south of the post office.
Just south of the post office. The road, this artery here was our main artery.
Activist hangout. Yep.
Yeah. So now we're just going to be limited to this Church Street. And then, but this whole artery here, again, this is Port Authority artery. So, they may just totally shut that up all day long.
Yep.
But Church Street is New York City. So we got that artery. That's probably going to be it for us.
Yeah.
But however, I'm still hopeful we can get this going. And also, again, the day before and the day after are still very prominent days, for people to be, getting attention down there.
Thank you for that tangent.
So, yeah.
When you say
So-
they're going to shut it down, obviously they're going to let people go to the memorial site.
Well, they only let certain people go. They only let family members go and the firefighters.
Oh,
Yeah.
And they kicked me off last time. They opened it up at 2 o'clock. They open it up in the afternoon. I think it's 2 or 3 or 1 or 2 or 3.
What they do, they just gave people blue ribbons that were victims' family members, or so if you didn't have a blue ribbon, you weren't getting into the memorial.
Yeah, but then
but
they
then
do
they
open it
opened
up.
They opened it up after.
Yes.
Yeah, and there's still a lot of people around. There's still a lot of the firefighters are around. Still a lot of the family members are around. It's still jammed with people, and so you're going to get your visibility. I was down there. It's the best place for activism. I was down there Friday, and it was beautiful for the activism. And I haven't gotten any kind of negative pushback from anybody there. And I get a lot of people looking at me, and then I have people coming up to me quietly. Thank you very much. There was a guy there who played basketball with Bobby McLean. He was. They went to school together, and I go there and I put my hand up with the different people's names that I know whenever I go there and do a prayer. And I was trying to get to Bobby McIlvain's name. This guy was standing there and he wouldn't move. He kept standing there. And so I thought, well, maybe it must be Bobby McIlvain, because it was, dew on the thing, and he had wiped that off. And yes, he's Bobby McIlvain's friends from high school. I said, his father is heavily in the truth about it. Yeah, we all know about that, and it's been compressed. And, we didn't get into any details because I just wanted to let him do whatever he was doing. But so, but it's a great, and then this Chinese family coming straight from China.
I'm sorry, I got to move on, but if you want to get to finish up your point there.
Yeah, that's going to take, I just got to get ranting on that stuff. So, so no, it's fine. So if you go north and you go up to here to Canal Street, what you'll find is the exit and entry to the Holland Tunnel, which is the main tunnel, one of the main tunnels going to New Jersey. So there's obviously a lot of car traffic that goes along there. And if you notice this, where my mouse is pretty much in the center of the screen, you see this circular turnabout, which is where you come out of the tunnel and circle around and go onto Canal Street. If you see that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you zoom in on that, you see it's empty. And it really is empty, other than the trees that are on the outside of it. This center part is basically just totally flat and empty. And there's a bridge here, a pedestrian bridge, but it's very because of the turnaround of the hollow. It's got so much activity on it that nobody goes there. It's basically land. So here's a bridge to that, but you need maybe some more bridges because nobody goes there. Now it's telling me my connection is unstable. But anyway, now I want to quickly hit the flyby screen, and if I find it, when I've got you in the way, Gene, of my flyby button. Hold on one sec. Okay. So if I hit the flyby screen, you can imagine two towers of a good size being built as buildings in the middle of that empty space, and how that would look. And I'll show you a 3D flyby. So you see there's quite a bit of visibility, and that side's totally open. And back in the day, it was one of the best views of the World Trade Center you had. So I think it's a perfect spot for Mamdani to want to redevelop, because it's totally empty. It's really perfect for a sculpture, building sculpture, whatever they want to think of it. And boy, would that be visibility. So I'm working on getting that in front of his face. I got some very good contacts in the Mamdani camp that can, I think, get that in front of under his nose. And I think it's perfect for him in his politics to do exactly that. It's playing. He's having his cake and eating it too on that one. And
Well, visibility for what? What is it good visibility
visibility for the towers to be
He wants to
rebuilt.
make a memorial,
Yeah.
a miniature scaled version of the towers
Oh,
there.
yeah,
Yeah.
like you do, yeah. And
Yep.
you
Yeah.
want to put it in that park, is that what you're saying?
Yes, right in the center there,
Yeah. Mhm.
at a large scale.
Thank you. I got to move on.
Yeah. Okay, that's it.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that, sharing that. And maybe that's a great spot for us to
No, nobody see it has to become something that you can see from a distance because
okay. I was
Yeah,
thinking
nobody-
banners for people coming through the Holland Tunnel.
well, you can stand. That's actually very true. I was there, like everybody was seeing my shirt on because
Yeah.
they all go around that corner. You can stand right on the thin little sidewalk. You can just stand there. It is a great place for that. Yes.
Yep. Thank you,
As they
Ross.
come out of the tunnel. Yeah.
We'll come back to you for more in a little bit. Ellie.
Yeah, hey, I want to go back to the subject of Roger Waters. So, if you recall, the kind of the opposite scenario, or where I think we did really well, was with Ron Johnson.
Mhm.
So with Senator Johnson, he was also fairly, high, public figure, fairly new to this. But he did a very compelling interview with Tucker Carlson on 9/11, and I think that's the reason why he was successful there is because he and Richard Gage sat down for hours, or at least several hours. Where Richard Gage basically gave him a lecture on the details of 9/11, and I think that it's clear that made a huge difference in his ability to convey information, and I think that given that success, if we are going to partner with other public figures who may be put on the spot, I think there should be some sort of a process whereby we have we do some sort of a seminar or something like that, similar to what we did with Johnson, so that they could get up to speed on the key things to say or not to say. Obviously, they're at their own discretion on what to say when they ask a question, but at least give them the base understanding they have so they can be successful in these interviews. I don't know if there's any thoughts on doing that in the near future, but I think it was helpful with Johnson. I think it'd be helpful with Roger Waters and others of that stature.
I think it's a great idea. We did. Ian Carroll is no longer going to be in the lineup because of health issues he has, but I did reach out to his team about a possibility of doing some. He does these Friday Night Live videos and saying, hey, if you got Richard and maybe you guys talk through the evidence in Ian Carroll's style. And Kevin with their group said, yeah, let's talk about that. So it's those discussions or just talking through the evidence where you can get them more familiar with it. But I got to hand it Roger Waters, Ron Johnson, when they started doing their interviews, they were a little choppy and they are getting better. I mean, Raul Angulo was really choppy. Captain Raul Angulo was choppy at the beginning, and now he's a beast, man. He's doing a great job when he talks to people. So we were all there.
He must have gone to Toastmasters or something. But Ian Carroll, I mean, that he's just starting to dive into it. And to his credit, I mean, he tackles so many subjects. He did a deep dive into Las Vegas. He's dealing with a bunch of subjects, so you can only expect him to know so much. I mean, the guy's barely 30. But we've heard him talk about 9/11. We heard him say some things that is like, not quite or whatever. And, just even make it like an educational interview. Where let's say Ian Carroll could ask Richard all the questions he wants of the stuff that, as he's speaking for his generation, of the questions that he gets, the things that are not, maybe obvious to us, but are not obvious to the next generation. So, yeah, not even make it like a presentation, just an actual educational interview, if you will, and everybody wins.
Thank you, Ellie. Carl.
Yes, I spent actually. I first asked that anybody except the leadership team of Gene and Sandra would mute themselves so that they don't feel spontaneously tempted to interrupt me.
No, I won't do that. But go ahead.
Okay, so some people can stay unmuted, other than you two. Okay. I want to approach this in a very positive way. You mentioned opening doors and such, and I want to ask Richard to open one particular door that I think could be really beneficial to, well, it goes back to Bret Weinstein. I listened in detail over and over to Brett Weinstein's interview of Ron Johnson. And there's some fascinating stuff in there where they both acknowledge that, yep, there's a they out there. We kind of know who they are. And do we really want to know what's true about who was behind 9/11? Maybe it's too much. And I've excerpted out the key statements they made and the context in which I think I could have a very beneficial preliminary conversation off the record, unrecorded. I'd even travel out there and, allow myself to be frisked for a recorder before talking with them in person, is that I think the concern is that everyone will point to, quote, beyond Zionists to quote, the Jews as responsible for 9/11. And I think, diffuse entirely the anxiety about that by pointing to very credible biblical historical research that all of us, Judaism, Christianity, Catholicism, Islam, have all been misled in various ways through the origins of some of the scriptures into recurring perpetual conflict with each other. And if we all just step back from realizing all of us have been manipulated, that nobody currently alive needs to be blamed for what happened in many times over the last 100 years. But the only way to diffuse the group that does control it, and it's beyond any one religious group with certainty, is to have a conversation like that. And so I could email, I can try to reach out for Brett Weinstein. I know, of course, Richard's been interviewed by him. I just ask that you please have him contact me just to have such a conversation. And with that in mind, I would ask you to show from the over hour and a half interview of Weinstein of Ron Johnson, I've excerpted out 8.5 minutes that I think are entirely important for all of us to hear them say about, well, do we really want to know the truth, et cetera? What are the concerns? And then the last several minutes, they actually do, they say they met on a hiking path near where Weinstein lives, and that's what prompted this discussion. But then they frame the information I might have, that I did give to Johnson just in a brief conversation back on June 2nd, and then after on July 14th with his PSI staff. Weinstein sort of frames as if, well, maybe what I was just searching for was like hard drives that might have had information about Enron, and maybe it was all about Enron, and they really wanted to either find or make sure they didn't find, and that information, which, I mean, I'm not blaming them for feeling that they needed to obfuscate to actually hide, and they literally do try to erase. Johnson says, he says, to the fact that he has no way of contacting me 6 weeks after I was interviewed by the PSI staff. So obviously this is very important to me, but I think it'll be very useful to everyone watching to just listen to this 8.5 minutes of only their words.
Yep, and they can do that on their own because I'm not going to play 8.5 minutes right now during the show, but I thank you for sharing that. The link is in the chat if anybody wants to check that out. Thank you, Carl, very much.
Well, it's non-published. And actually, I would.
That's the end. I'm not asking for you to debate it, but thank you very much.
No, I'm just explaining that it's not published so far, and I might never need to publish it. I would really like to talk to Brett Weinstein, and actually follow up with Ron Johnson if Richard can facilitate that as well. I've had a cordial conversation with him recently, but that's different from actually sitting down and getting to the brass tacks about how this can be done without the whole world blowing up. So thank you.
Thanks, Carl.
I just feel the need to say that it took us weeks to hear
Sandra,
back from Brett Weinstein.
Sandra, if you're going to allow me the opportunity to respond, I'll add.
No, that's not. This isn't your show.
I'm responding to you,
Carl. Okay, go ahead,
I just
Sandra.
wanted to clarify.
And Carl, if you continue to talk over her, I'm going to remove you from the room.
It was just to say that it took us weeks to establish contact with Brett Weinstein, and all our exchanges with all the speakers are a very delicate balance of the stuff that we would like for them to, consider. There's the VIP lunch, and, they're not obligated to do it, but obviously we would very much like them to be a part. So it's a very delicate operation. And even the stuff that we're asking for that we find is critical is we have to think about it very diplomatically about how we ask these things. So it's not realistic that we would ask him to reach out to you. I just want to say it honestly. It's just not feasible.
Any final comment there?
I was asking Richard to do it, not you or Gene.
Well, even Richard's the one who was in touch with Brett. I mean, yeah.
Right. It's totally up to Richard. It's totally within his power.
All right, there you go. Thank you. B.O.B.
Yes, good afternoon.
Hello.
Just curious about how, in terms of sort of trying to prime Roger Waters for being able to talk to people with, snippets of evidence or something, isn't it just the fact that buildings dropped as they did, as is documented, is that not sufficient to say there's something extremely wrong with this picture and we take it from there?
I think that's what he did. Yeah. So speaking from his little bit of architecture background that he had, very little, he's sticking to the guns that it was a controlled demolition. Although he says it rather animated. Yeah. And I wish if he went back to school or continued with the schooling, he probably could have said it more articulately.
Or
like
more
Richard.
Scientifically, just,
But I think he did pretty good.
Yeah. And again, it's kind of hard to go and tell Roger Waters what to say and how to say it. I mean, but
interesting fact also, he's 82 years old, which is the same amount of columns in World Trade Center 7.
Oh,
Just
boy.
saying. Anyway. Anything else, Bob?
No, thank you much. No.
Nope. Thank you. Dave Schlesinger.
maybe you can lower your camera so we can see more than just your forehead. Thank you.
Hey, all right. There he is.
But you're muted. We're not hearing you.
Not yet. Let me see if I can help by saying ask to unmute. Maybe that'll make something pop up. There it is.
Oh, no.
We're still not getting any audio. Check maybe, is there a little button on your headset or on your cord or anything maybe that's...
You're showing as unmuted.
No. Keep trying. If I hear your voice, we'll come back to you.
Yeah, just pop in.
Yep. Jack. Jack's trying to get to the mute button too.
Yeah, Jack always needs a little.
Well, Dave, get the mic to help. Oh, wait.
Can you hear me?
Oh, there we go, Jack.
Jack, yeah.
Go ahead, Jack.
Great. I'm just wanting to remark on the need for Roger Waters and people like that to give the evidence. And I don't think they need to give much evidence. And here's my logic. I found that there's intelligent people and there's stupid people, and I have given some people all this information on 9/11, and they really get it. They may not do anything, but they stay on top and they really get it. And other people have watched the videos, they read the leaflets, and I just don't get it. No, I trust my government. So we only can deal with the intelligent people of any age. And I think we just need to do more of what Roger Waters did, of just getting it out that 9/11 was an inside job. That's the only term I can think of. And then let them investigate on their own and help them investigate on their own.
Yep. We all have our gifts that we're given, and it's up to us to use our gift to the best of our ability. And I think Roger's doing it where Roger can do it, and we're doing it with what we can do. So thank you, Jack. Yeah.
It's always going to be a little bit messy.
Yep.
All I had to do was to drop a couple of websites, ic911.org, ae911truth.org, richardgage911.org. Just one of those. Come on.
Yep. Dave, you back yet? Well, while we're waiting for David, since I got Richard, the next, and I think it was the last news item I had, Crime Scene to Courtroom episode 6 is soon to be released.
July 19.
I'm sorry?
July 19.
July 19th. All
A week
right.
from today.
Very good. So keep your eyes on that. Look at 911c2c.org. And you can already see episodes 1 to 5. Thank you, Richard, for that.
Am I jumping the gun if I ask If you started on episode 7.
Oh, I haven't. No, we're just finishing up 6.
Okay.
Man, she's
That's 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific it begins.
Yes, thank you.
very good.
Hey, I wanted to add some details also related to the series.
Mhm.
And we may have mentioned this before, but we are also working on delivering or bringing the entire docuseries to streaming services like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime. But we need your help. And because part of the process to get this submitted for a review, it involves a review of our IMDb page. So I don't know if Gene, you can pull up the IMDb page for Crime Scene the Courtroom,
Yeah.
and then I'll quickly briefly explain how people can help.
Yep. Here we are.
So yeah, great. So we've been working on trying to spruce up the page over the last couple of weeks, and created a new poster, as you can see there, for the series. And so one of the things that the streaming services look when they're reviewing for submission is that they want to see that there's a lot of ratings or a lot of reviews of the content on IMDb. So if you guys can just log in to IMDb and put a rating, not 10 out of 10 for the series as a whole, that will be a huge boost to us. So all you need to do, the login process is very simple. If you already have since IMDb is now owned by Amazon, you should already be able to log in using your regular Amazon account. Or if you don't have Amazon, you can just create a separate account specifically for IMDb, and you just click on where that star is, I believe, if I recall correctly.
Yep.
And you just type in, what your rating is, 10 out of 10. And if you want to leave also a comment, adding some details about your rating, that will be super helpful as well. Again, we plan to try and submit this series to the streaming services sometime in between July and August. So if you're able to do this today, just go online, go to this link, and just quickly put in 10 out of 10. That will be super helpful, so we can boost the number of ratings we have on this series and increase the chances we can get it onto streaming services. Because that's how everybody watches content now, right? The era of DVD is over, and even getting us something like this on services like YouTube is hard because of all the censorship. But this loophole of using streaming services is something that we're really pushing right now. So each one of you can make a huge difference without even spending a single dime, just by going to the IMDb page and adding your rating for this film. Thank you.
Can you go to the IMDb page on the C2C website?
No.
How do you get to the IMDb page?
You can just do a Google search. If you just do a Google search, or we can have the link in the notes or link in the chat.
Yeah, could you put it in the chat? Could you put it in the chat?
IMDb.com.
Yeah, really.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna see if I put IMDb crime scene to
Yeah, you have to put it in 2 words, crime scene.
crime
Yeah, I just
scene
pulled it up.
to courtroom. See what happens. Right, first one that pops up. IMDb crime scene to courtroom. Click on the link, and it will take you right to that page.
Yeah, you can see there. You can see there in Google, it's showing how many ratings it has. So this is like a pathway we have where we're able to generate good, a positive image of our documentary without being censored or shadow banned or having other, debunkers try and push us down. So I strongly encourage you guys to go ahead and just go to that link now.
Yeah.
Put a rating.
I just did it while you were talking.
Yeah, it's that simple. It's that simple.
I don't know if you could use a different adverb here or adjective. Instead of a shocking film, an explosive film.
That's been changed, and to be more neutral. So they haven't changed it out yet.
10-4.
Good point, Gene.
No plus on good.
Excellent. Thank you, Ellie. That was very good piece of information to share. Thanks.
So I'm just curious.
Thank you all.
The way that it's appearing on here, IMDb, you can obviously so it has 5 videos. So you got crime scene 1 to 5. So it is in separate sections.
Mm-hmm.
and all each with their own intro and so on. It's not threaded together, right?
I don't know what you mean by that.
Well, people can watch episode by episode. Like, you haven't, for this purpose, made it into one single documentary.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize.
Individual
Yeah, you
episodes.
click through. Yeah, you click through and you see the episodes, and then there's like there's a trailer for each episode that you can view as well. But yeah, as of right now, the only place you can watch any of this reliably is the website 911c2c.org, which is the general public's not going to know that, and this is why we're really pushing to get this on streaming.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you again, Ellie. Richard, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Ellie.
Dave, you back? Did you get it working? No. He's calling his IT guy. I did want to share a clip when Sandra was talking about these young guys are coming up out of nowhere, and she showed me this clip, and I thought, wow, that's amazing. Send that to me. And it's 12 minutes long. I'm not going to show 12 minutes. I'm just going to show a minute. Just it's the same information we know, but it's just great to see young guys packaging it and putting it out their own way. So this is from Truth Desk. Here we go.
Things that don't make sense about 9/11, the complete series. Jet fuel can't melt steel beams. Because it wasn't the plane impact that brought the towers down, right? It was the fires. Everyone loves to say that. Oh, the fires, the jet fuel, it weakened the steel. Oh, yeah. But that just flat out doesn't make sense. Because no steel-structured building in the history of steel-structured buildings has ever been brought down due to fire, except for 3 times it happened on September the 11th. Those are the only 3 times in human history that fires have brought down a steel-structured building. And those fires weren't even that hot. Most of the jet fuel was burned up in the initial fireball. Haven't you ever lit anything on fire with gasoline, like a big stack of wood? There's a big whoosh, and then after the first minute, all that gasoline's gone. Well, that's the same thing that happened in the World Trade Center. Most of the jet fuel was burned up in the first 2 minutes, and then after that, the only thing that's left to burn inside the towers is like carpets and drapes, office furniture, just ordinary combustibles inside the tower, which should have never caused those buildings to collapse. Those buildings should have been able to burn for days, weeks even. Just look at this fire from November.
So I just hats off to this guy. I got to look into him. We got 27,000 likes, 2.6 thousand comments, 5,000 shares, 11,500 bookmarks. Like, rock on, young guys and gals.
And so far, I mean, everything he says is spot on. He just says, he rewords it in, his generation's language. He's talking to people. He's not, it's almost like he's having a conversation, like addressing the viewer. Now, have you ever lit anything on fire with, haven't you ever seen this happen? Like, it's really cool.
Yep. Check him out.
For those who are paying attention, make sure you don't say no steel frame building has ever collapsed due to fire. Plenty of steel frame buildings have collapsed due to fire, but no steel frame fireproofed skyscraper or high rise has collapsed due to fire. That's a very important distinction.
It is, but that goes back to what we were saying before. These new people coming up, they were barely born when this happened. They've collected the information. They're not, being super hyper, accurate with every single one of their, descriptions. Again, we don't control that, but I'd rather have him saying what he says with a couple of,
For the tenured folks, that was a great comment by Richard, because 2017, I got up, it was the Hilton or wherever we were down in DC, and I got up and I got to ask the panel, which had Richard Gage on it, on new activists, heavily involved trying to get involved at that point. And I said, the buildings fell at free fall speed. And Richard said, excuse me, they free fall acceleration. And then it's something I knew. I was like, oh God, I can't believe I said that for Richard Gage. So
those of us who here should know better. And I'm just educating us. I'm not trashing this young guy.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
Fire resistive steel framed high rises cannot collapse globally, symmetrically, and through themselves, or entirely evenly and through themselves by fire. Yeah. Excellent.
I have one quick comment on that.
Yes, ma'am.
We just saw. And that is, I've mentioned this to Richard for years as well, because he used to do it. I don't think he does it anymore. But I know that he meant it tongue in cheek, but he actually said, the young guy actually said, the only time that any of these buildings has come down due to fire was on 9/11. You should never even say that tongue in cheek. It's more important. It sets up cognitive dissonance in people who don't know anything. So it's so much better to say, and it didn't happen on any of the buildings on 9/11.
Yeah.
All right. See, this is the stuff that the tenured people should start to take note on. Thank you. Thank you, Barb. Let's see. Dave Schlesinger, did you get it yet? I'll just listen for your voice. Magnus, go ahead.
Oh yeah, David Schlesinger must rejoin his meeting just like I have to do when I don't have any sound and I'm just getting into the Zoom again. What I wanted to say, wow, sorry guys, too much on my brain right now, I'm just forgetting stuff. What I wanted to say is type 1 steel frame has never collapsed to the fire like Angulo says it.
Yep.
Thank you for that.
Well,
Yeah, type 1 means fire resistive construction, which is fire protected steel or concrete.
Yep.
So it's a good distinction. Thank you.
That's another great one. Thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to check with Phil. Phil in Florida, if you can and if you want to, come on camera and because it's very rare that you join this call. Phil is going to be joining our event in New York City as part of the earliest 9/11 activists that were out there. Those that got the ball rolling when the internet was just becoming a thing. And he'll be joined by Carol Bruyere and Barb. And who is the fourth person?
I
Oh,
think there are 5.
yeah, well,
Chris Jr.
right. Well, that's still not officially confirmed, but it looks like it will be Chris Bruner. And it looks like Mike Berger is going to have a slot of his own, but then hopefully be part of that panel discussion. So, hey, Bill, oh, you had to throw on a t-shirt?
Yeah. Do not scare you people. Oh God.
How you doing, Phil?
Good, thanks. Thanks, Sarah. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi, Phil.
Hi.
So when did you get involved, Phil, real quick?
In 2005 is when we started up first film. Well, Loose Change had just come out. We saw that, and the other one from the Power Hour.
Oh. Whoops.
That's David now.
We do hear you, David, but hang on a second.
Okay. The Power Hour had a film called In Plain Sight, and then Bob Bowman, who most of you know, became a member of our newly formed Vets for Peace chapter in Central Florida. Colonel Bob Bowman was the director of the Star Wars programs, and I believe if the anti-war movement had just put him out front, let him take all the arrows, we could have we would have had a chance of preventing these wars. Instead, they ridiculed them, threw them under the bus. I could go on for hours. What I've got, but I had just briefly. My cousin we're all from New York, and she was down visiting the other day. We had dinner in Florida, and it came up about the different things going on in the world today, and some of the same cast of characters are doing other things. And I mentioned the possibility of the buildings being set up to be blown up, wired and what have you, and the Israeli art students and all that, and it's 25 years later. I'm saying, those. What do you mean? I saw those planes hit the building. I say, yeah, everybody saw the planes hit the building, but I said, that's not what made those buildings. And I was corrected in the chat when I say blew up into dust. I mean blew up
yes, there was steel, there was rubble, but blew up into dust, you know,
Mhm.
same with my hands, okay? Fires, no way in hell do fires take two 110-story steel frame concrete skyscrapers and make them blow up into dust. And I do the hand signal, you know, the hand waving it, and come down in perfect symmetry and nearly free fall speed. You know, a plane
Acceleration.
crash and fire. And then my cousin went off. I know people who were in there building. How dare you? I said, yeah, well, I know, you know, I watched it live. I said, I watched it live on TV too. You know,
Yeah.
she just dug in, and it got to the point where if you don't shut up, Philly, you're going home. You know?
Wow.
And this, you know, she's 75, I'm 65. I mean, you know,
Wow. Yeah.
we have been, you know, we're blood, but it's the same New York. Were you there? Were you there? I was there. You know, I knew people that were in that building. I mean, it is so deep.
They take it personally.
I think we can kind of identify with that because we were at the Trump assassination attempt and we kept hearing it was staged. It was staged. Like, no, we were there, blah, blah, blah. And now that I'm sitting back, I'm like, well, now I'm not so
Yeah,
sure.
it was staged.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, that it's they equate with questioning, you know, I'm not saying that it's like how dare you dishonor. I
Right.
remember my kid brother went to Iraq. He rejoined the Marines just to do the wars, you know, and he went over in 05 and he came back. And I remember Christmas time, me and my mom were showing the in plain sight. We said, Robert, come here, you got to see this. And me and my mom were thinking, my God, you guys are in a war based on this, on a lie. You got to see this so you can tell your friends. And it's the same thing. They slammed the door. How dare you disrespect my service? You know,
Wow.
this psychological. And me and my mom are looking at like, hey, you got to see this. There's a war and it's bullshit. It's a lie. The whole 9/11 thing's a lie. And you don't have to prove it, I don't believe. You know, where's the evidence? Pierce? You know, it's just there's no way in hell the story works. We need a real investigation. There's no way fire made them buildings blow up and come down the way they did. That enough said. We need an investigation. That's horse. Bob Bowman used to call it hogwash. Barbara knows that.
Phil,
Anyway,
you
I'm
reminded.
babbling. I'm taking too much of your time.
I appreciate you. Great to see you. You reminded me of a quote by Robert Griffin, who also might be speaking. He said, not pursuing the truth of 9/11 disrespects the value of the life of the people that died. So don't ever let anybody tell you, any of us, that you're disrespecting. It's not actually, not looking into it is what disrespects the value of the life of the people that died.
What a
So
bunch of, yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to make a quick comment to Phil. This is
Yeah.
Barb. Phil,
Uh,
the next time you confront somebody like that, don't forget to tell them that the Twin Towers were explicitly designed to withstand even more than one plane impact on the scale of a 767.
707.
Number, or what?
707, but yeah, go ahead.
No, I meant by 767, I meant similar to 9/11 767, but yes, specifically before that, a 707, but it's comparable in size and weight.
No, it's not
also don't-
comparable in size for what it's worth.
Yeah.
But it's
Believe you
comparable.
me, I couldn't even get what I was saying out before she was ready to send me home.
Yeah, I
No way in hell
understand.
am I going to go on about plane. But thank you.
Well, at least, and don't forget to also mention, as Richard Gage did a bit earlier here,
Yeah.
that the buildings were what is it, Richard? A1 buildings, what are they called?
It was more not so much about all this. They're not there for an intelligent conversation. This is an emotional thing that it's a button push, and I think the comeback for it is not to get into this you know, scientific technical stuff. They don't want to hear that. You know, it's more like I think the better answer was to be what you just showed on the screenshot. The fella that said not pursuing the truth is disrespecting. Thank you.
Yeah,
Frank, you Okay, thanks.
And it always comes down, we overuse and oversimplify that expression of cognitive dissonance, but I mean, that is the typical example of that. And, the only thing you can do is have a conversation about that and ask them something along the lines of, can I just ask why it's so difficult for you to even consider it?
Yeah.
Because then you're touching upon their fears or their worries or their insecurities, and they might actually in that moment possibly or maybe later open up their minds a little bit. So you're right. It's hard.
That would have been my next thing if it hadn't already reached the point
Yeah.
of
And sometimes you can't, and
stopping
sometimes you
right
have to save it.
immediately, or we're going home.
Yeah, right. And sometimes you have to cut your losses and understand that you cannot go any further, and that's okay too.
Yep.
But if you can plant a seed,
Plant a seed. You're not trying to grow it.
it
just
doesn't
plant
have
it.
to be resolved immediately.
Yep.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you, Phil.
Thanks, Phil.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, Dave.
Yeah, Dave.
Okay. Should I continue?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Okay, yes. Last time I was at a meeting, I did raise the idea of trying to find Nobel laureates who would stand with us or ask for a real investigation. And I have had a friend who has technical supporters who would help me make a short video describing that. And I'm wondering how long can that be, and who do I get approval from to have it? And when does it have to be submitted by to see if it could be shown? It would, 5 minutes or even less conceivably at the event on 9/11.
Make an email and send it to Sandra and I, and we'll pass it on.
No, we'd have to
Okay,
discuss it.
Yeah.
Because right now, every time slot is either already accounted for or in the process of. We're pretty much
How
at the-
long do you think is 5 minutes too long?
Well, it's not, the length is part of it. The other question is, there's a whole, I guess, a form and shape to the whole thing, and an idea of what we want the conference to be about. I can see a case being made for what you're suggesting, because, Xander Arena, for example, is going to be there to encourage people to sign up to the AE petition again, now that he's working on getting it up and running again. So maybe that would be, but I would say definitely not more than 5 minutes, though.
Okay. So the point is, you guys are great at research. I don't do research. I do outreach.
Yes, absolutely. And
I'll send it to the two of you then. Thank you.
and-
When do you need it by, in your opinion?
Well, always as soon
The
as
sooner the better, yeah.
not.
Because people are coming out of the woodwork too, and there's still names to be asked. So this is getting really difficult.
Yeah, we're being inundated now that word's getting around. We're getting all kinds of people approaching us saying, we'd like to speak, we'd like to present, and we have to have a discussion about each one of them, because bringing someone, giving them a slot means removing somebody else, and there's not a lot of room for removal. So, but I will say this, the Saturday of the panel discussion, the morning will be dedicated to the 9/11 truth movement per se over the years and whatnot, and activism. So it might be a good place for that. If it's, we'd have to see the video also, right?
Okay. Thank you so much.
Real quick, Gina, Cedra, I just gotta jump in. So I'm working on doing a video montage for this event, so we can share on social media. But I don't want to create it and then find out that new people are added and then have to recreate it. So I'm just curious: is the list that's on the website, is that the current list, or has anybody else been added since then that I can put in this video?
That's not a final list.
Yes, definitely not final. And we're in a bunch of conversations that are either semi-advanced or far advanced or just beginning. Definitely not a final list, but
nothing else confirmed.
Nothing else confirmed for now. No.
Yeah. And I created a flyer, which is just, I think, 2, 4, 6, 8 or 9 people, I think, on it.
Yeah.
It's just a basic something to get something out for people to start.
You don't want to share it?
I'll do that real quick.
Yeah, Gene created a flyer because Because two of our planning committee members, Diana and Candace, Diana Castillo, that some of you, who some of you may know, Candace maybe not, she's more behind the scenes. These two girls absolutely rock. They were very involved with the Washington event last year. And this weekend they're at the Red Pill Expo and they're hunting down all kinds of people. And they asked us for a flyer so that, I mean, this is the kind of place where you want to make people aware of this upcoming conference. So Jean created for them to print, to give out at the Red Pill. I sent it to the New York activists also, so that they could print it and spread it around. And if anybody here wants it, if you want to, you know, I mean, there's a QR code that lists to the site, to the Eventbrite site, I think. And then there's Turning the Tide. That URL is at the bottom.
I'm not
Short recap of the main speakers that we had at that moment.
It goes
So-
to Turning the Tide.
Oh, Turning the Tide?
Yep.
Okay. It doesn't matter. They can go tickets from there. So
Yep.
if anybody wants it, just let us know. We'll be happy to send you the PDF and you can do it in your own city.
Just to get
And
something out.
hopefully in the near future, there will be really bigger names even.
Yes. Yep.
Well, it's, you know.
It's pretty big. It's not to take away from the people.
No, not to take away from those.
Yep.
It's your phone, Barb.
I don't know whose phone that is, but
No, it isn't.
Oh, because your screen is lighting up. Oh, maybe it's David.
I'm gonna mute you, Dave, just because you're. Yeah, it was you. You're fine.
Yeah, okay.
Let's-
Sorry, Barb.
Let's go to Craig.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment, but going back to our discussion about the language and how we have to be careful with using words and things. It strikes me that what ideally we'd want to say in the case of that's the only time 9/11 was the only time that buildings came down due to just get the word alleged in there. And
Exactly.
I think alleged is actually a very useful word and should we should use it perhaps more often.
Candace Owens would agree with you.
Yeah. And in fact, I would encourage us all to be as concerned about that with not just with the World Trade Center, but also with other elements of 9/11, like the Pentagon and Shanksville. I've heard a lot of things said over the years about the flight path at the Pentagon, as if we're just accepting the official story. And I've also heard seen things written by 9/11 truthers about, what hit the Pentagon. Let's figure out what hit the Pentagon. Those kind of examples of imprecise, if not flat out wrong language can be harmful. And I'll end with this example. The Toronto hearings back in 2011, I got this from Barry Zwicker. He told me that originally they were going to call them the 9/11 or the international hearings. I forget the exact name, but the international hearings into the terrorist attacks of 9/11. And Barry went to Graham McQueen and said, Graham, you can't call it that. You're reinforcing the official narrative by calling it terrorist attacks. And so they ended up changing that. I don't know if it was directly because of Barry or not, but those kinds of things we have to be careful of. And even calling them attacks, when you're talking about like the Pentagon, I don't believe it's an attack when the people who suffered the damage were the ones that actually did the event themselves. I don't think you can call it an attack. So we got to be careful with language.
Right. And you can be a purist. I mean, a lot of people have an issue with calling the Twin Tower collapses.
Well, I agree with that too.
Yeah.
We shouldn't.
Right.
I always say destruction. I try to always say destruction.
Yeah. I try to keep it in mind, but very honestly, the collapsing
Sometimes
is
you
still
forget.
to me, it's just like collapses, they came down. I'm not saying that they, it
not
is
a
not a
collapse.
technical term for me, which is why I always trip over it, I guess, or maybe
Yeah.
it's just ingrained. But yeah, we do. But I'm just curious, what was your issue with having a discussion about what hit the Pentagon?
Well, because it assumes that something hit the Pentagon.
Oh, that something or anything hit it versus just explosives is what you mean?
Well, explosives don't hit it.
No,
Like
no, right.
hit
Okay.
implies an impact.
Okay, understood.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to know. Okay, thank you.
In fact, I've seen it used in ways that I think are disingenuous. It's like a deliberate attempt to say, well, we're going to assume something hit, like some kind of flying aircraft. So now we got to figure out what kind of aircraft. And that's when I would say,
right.
pull the fort here.
Absolutely.
I don't think
Okay.
that's the right question.
Good example. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. And Jane in the chat, yes, we did say our 520 prayer. Jack, go ahead.
Yes, I had a very similar experience to Bill in Florida. I have a friend in New York City, former military, and I just sent him a couple of peace-oriented videos, and the second one assumed that 9/11 was an inside job. And I got a letter from him telling me, that I was standing up for people who were scum and disrespecting his service, and he kind of repeated everything that's on Fox. And unfortunately, Fox has really penetrated New York City very deeply. But and Trump has not helped, because he made it mandatory to play Fox on the military bases that don't have English speaking radio nearby. And so in Germany and Qatar, they play Fox all day on the. But anyway, he ended our friendship, and he was just outraged, absolutely outraged. Wasn't willing to discuss it. Wasn't willing to look at any videos. Nothing. Just fuck you.
Wow. Thank you, Jack. We'll go to Magnus. I think you got a couple videos queued up.
Oh, thank you, Gene. Do we have time for a few short videos?
Sure, it is 6:31. Then we'll get through these hands, and then we'll go around the room. But let's do this. This first one, you said strange video of World Trade Center. Here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, what
Just
do I
look
have
at
now?
under the glowing part there.
There was talk from, you'll see it in first
Yeah.
responders coming up, where there was just a glowing band that was going around the building, she says.
Yep.
I'm still looking for a video that's as vivid as what the lady, I forgot her name, what she described, but she said this band of glowing just went the whole way around and kept looping around the building before it started to come down. So
Was it Susan King?
that sounds like a right name.
But I don't know if she was the one who said it.
All right, there's that one. And the second video you had, 46 seconds into the second one. Do you want me to start at 46 seconds or play to 46 seconds?
Yeah. Start it 46 seconds into a video and then jump to 1:25. I think I wrote.
All right, here we go. Seeing some fire, local fires, I believe.
Under the fire. The red hot spot.
Yeah, pretty warm spot. I can't say it's molten materials, but there is some fire, something burning there. And then jump to 124. So my maximize. Oh, something flared up there. Let me go back to that. Sorry.
Yeah, it's the same reaction, I think. I don't see any reasons to not believe it's the same reaction. Thank you, Gene, for sharing.
Yep. Thank you, Magnus. Always keeping an eye out for little nuggets in these videos.
Yeah, thanks, Magnus.
Can I clarify a clarification question on the first one? Do we know for certain that that ring of, around the building was not a pre-existing fire? Did it just show up just before the collapse?
Yeah, the way it was represented in the movie, the documentary, was
It was some.
it was sudden, and it was
It
how do I
progressively
say?
went around the building, is
Yeah.
what they said,
I will
in quick succession.
try to find the clip of that video. I think I have it here somewhere while somebody else.
We shouldn't really play it.
I'm only showing a clip, so anyway, we'll go. I'll look for that real quick while we go to Carl. Go ahead, Carl.
Well, Gene, I emailed you and Richard and also put in chat a shortened version, just 2 minutes, 42 seconds.
Okay.
Possible to just play that?
Yeah. It doesn't leave me any time to look up that clip, but all right.
It's only Brett and Ron talking about.
You sent it. Yep, you did. There it is. And click and share. And here we go. 2 minutes, 42 seconds. I'll give you that. Here we go.
Hey, folks. Welcome to the Dark Horse Podcast Inside Rail. I have the distinct honor of sitting this morning with Senator Ron Johnson here in studio. It is the 24th anniversary this year of the attacks that occurred on September 11th, 2001.
Anybody watching this, if you have information, I'm open for business. I'm collecting information. I told you about a gentleman I saw outside the Hart building. He'd claimed to have been to my office and left them information because I asked him if he had a business card, so I left it with your office. Nobody in my staff has that, but basically he told me the story. He is a government employee. He volunteered to help out in the aftermath of 9/11, so they assigned him to the debris pile. And they had debris going by a conveyor, and his job was to just pull out anything that looked like an electronic component.
Now,
again, that's just a little tidbit of information. I thought that was quite interesting when they just couldn't get rid of that crap soon enough. Put it on a barge to be recycled over in China within 2 weeks, but they're having volunteers, government employee volunteers, go through and extracting any electronic component. Why would they do that?
Well, so let's fill this in.
So if that guy's listening, I want to know your name. I want to ask you some more questions.
With respect to the pulling of electronic components from the WTC7 site, I did look into it after you mentioned it. I'd never heard of it before. I can't remember where I found a description of it, but I did find a description that this, in fact, had happened. World Trade Center 7 contained really interesting stuff. The Enron files being part of it, or some of the Enron files. The Enron scandal was a major problem for the Bush administration because the Bush administration was closely tied with Enron. Ken Lay was a good friend of the president. And the Enron scandal, I did not remember this, it effectively spanned.
Oh, sorry. My searching is slowing my computer down. Or was that
9/11. And it wasn't the only, the CIA also had an office in World Trade Center 7. One could imagine an honorable search for hard drives to recover some of that information, and one could also imagine that the idea was they didn't want that information to survive, so looking for it made sense. So I don't know what of these things explains that, but it's certainly interesting that somebody came to you, suggested that this had happened, and then vanished.
Yeah.
And you can't find them.
There you go. All right.
He found him.
So, we've crossed paths a few times now. So I would just ask that, I never mentioned Enron. We were looking for Enron hard drives. Our tasking was anything that might be a computer component at the request of CIA Secret Service, which I broadened to mean anything electronic that could be part of a computer. But also, 5 years later, pondering circumstances that collapse. And I said this specifically to Ron Johnson when we first met. My concern is we were actually accomplishing sifting out perhaps undestroyed demolition electronics from a botched demolition earlier in the morning when the building perhaps was meant to come down in the dust clouds of 1 and 2 and just be forgotten. So I think all of this is relevant at the 25th anniversary of 9/11. And I've asked if I could speak in several different contexts, including introducing Phil Turney or the history with respect to JFK. And actually, it'll simplify things for me if Richard, you or Gene, I know you have probably veto power. If you want to tell me now, you're not going to allow me to speak on such topics. It clarifies what's going on. So where are we on that?
I thought we already discussed that. Oh, I revisited it.
So have you decided I will not be invited to speak?
I think that was the consensus last time.
I mean, just definitively, you guys have veto power. Richard certainly has veto power.
Yeah.
Well, it's all by consensus. There's
Oh,
no
so
veto
nobody
power involved.
nobody's actually responsible. It's the consensus that decides.
Yes.
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, so no accountability to who speaks, who
All
doesn't.
right. Thank you, Carl.
It's one way to look at it.
I did find the clip.
That's-
There's no audio with it, but
Yeah, that's how an investigator would look at it.
thank you, Carl. You made your case. I let you play your video. Here we go. There's no audio in this that I have. I couldn't find the clip that had the audio. Oh, wait, maybe this is it. Where am I at? I'm at. There we go. There's the simulation of what she thought she saw. And I think it comes back again here in a second. That's what she said she saw.
Oh, it moved.
Yes, it wrapped her and it kept going as rings around the
Yeah,
building.
it said it was like a belt that it
Was
went
it always
around.
on the same floor?
No, it was moving down.
Uh-huh.
Yep. So here we go. And that'll be played. It's called not First Responders, it's called The Responders. And that documentary will be played at the anniversary event. So check it out then. All right.
Jerry.
Jetty, and then we're going around the room. Or Jerry, your comment and then your final comments, and you'll be the first to lead us around.
Yeah, well, on this, I got the same impression as you that this lady, and there was a few of the firefighters as well that mentioned like a belt going around the building of flame.
Yes.
But the bit on the first video that you looked at, where I think it's around floor 93, around there on the North Tower, where you see that sort of intense redness all along one floor, that gets much more intense when you look at it. Mr. Koenig on his channel has a video of the North Tower, and it gets much more intense particularly in the 4 or 5 minutes before the building comes down. But interestingly, if you look at the corner, I think it's the northwest corner of the North Tower, when you look at it, there's a bit that keeps going white. It actually glows white right at the corner, and you can see it getting more oxygen and somehow becoming open to the oxygen and becoming more and more intense. It's I would encourage anybody to look at the North Tower in the 5 minutes before it collapses and look at the way that the heat signatures around the perimeter columns change and become more intense, particularly around that corner. I'm not exactly sure what corner it is. And as for my closing comment, right, it would be that when you've got people like Roger Waters and other like musicians, celebrities or whatever, you know what you're better doing? You're better actually just letting them talk for themselves. As soon as you begin to try and control that narrative and mold it and say, here's what you've got to say, you've got to take our narrative and our line. Do you not think people like Piers Morgan are schooled on our talking points? They're schooled exactly on them, and all you're doing is you're setting these people up in a huge public spotlight to be schooled. Like, right, do you know the coefficient of thermal expansion of A36 steel or whatever? And then they're just going to look blank. In other words, you're setting somebody up with a talking point who clearly doesn't have the technical knowledge behind that talking point to be able to back it up. So there's a big danger in doing that, and I would urge anybody not to take somebody like Roger Waters to the side and say, oh, say this, say this, say this, say this.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a really dumb thing to do, because you're setting them up to discredit ourselves. If we just let it happen organically, let them talk for themselves and let them see it the way that they see it. And that is my opinion. I mean, nobody knows it all.
They might
Right,
not
but-
know the cruising speed of an unladen swallow. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. And then anyway, great show, and your event seems to be shaping up very, very nicely. Like the way, and you can't please all of the people all the time, can you?
Yeah.
So you just got to do your best, and it's looking very good.
Thank you. And just a
Sure.
quick, I'm going to tangent real quick. What did you think about the Conor McGregor fight? Did you watch that at all?
I think he's blown his cylinder head, hasn't he? He's finished.
Yeah.
And he knows it. He knows it.
Yep. Patty Pimblett's going to be the next, but I digress. Anyway,
Yep.
Thank you, Jerry. Good to see you.
And you.
Mike Cook, what do you got for the group wrapping up?
I gotta donate. Everybody should be donating. I can't make it to New York City, but I want to put forth some money. What's the best way to do that?
It's turningthetide911.org.
Mm-hmm.
You have two buttons. One says get tickets. The other one says donate now.
Yep.
Okay.
Just click
So
on the other.
Go ahead.
Right
Thank you, though.
You can see it in the top right.
I'm gonna donate, and if there's anybody that you guys think should be there but can make it but cannot afford the ticket price, then my donation can go towards that.
I appreciate
Thanks, Mike.
that.
Right on.
And if I can ask everyone, the very, very, very minimum that anyone can do is just, share the URL, share the link, talk about it, put it on social media. It's not about convincing the whole world to come, but it would really suck if there was people who wanted to come and didn't go because they didn't know it was happening. So we
Make
just
your
want
own flyer. Tear down the wall of cover up and put Roger Waters. Do whatever you want. I don't know.
Yeah, ultimately you can do it any which way you want, but it's the very least that anybody can do, and we just appreciate anybody who puts it out there.
Yep. There was I gotta find this real quick for my wrap up. You just reminded me something. Or tag something. I don't promote anything illegal. You would have to find a legal place to tag something, but that's what I'll get it to it. Anyway, thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
Alfred, anything for the group?
We're speaking of donations, we got our banner covered for Boston 9/11, the area
Nice.
banner. That'll be flying. And then I don't know whether I'm getting paranoid or our website was taken down.
Yeah.
Again.
Everything. Oh, well,
still
it got put back up.
Yeah, it's back up.
Oh.
But I got a notice today from SiteGround that if we didn't clear out the malicious virus, which we had done, that they would have to take the site down again. And I can't figure this one out. Sue and I spent a lot of time talking to our webmaster, but I don't know who's doing it or why. It's in Chinese when you look at it the first time they took it down. And so I'm living in a world where I'm not so sure somebody's trying to deliberately attack us or why that happened. If anybody has any ideas, I'd love to hear them.
I've had that in the past where if you run a website that's controlled by a database, and all of these new WordPress sites and Joomla, and they're all database-driven sites, you constantly got to be on updating the latest, widgets in that and the platform itself. So your webmaster should know what they're doing on that. I used to be a web designer, and I went back to just raw HTML. Like, you can't manipulate. It's like paper and pencil. Like, you can't manipulate something that's hard coded, if you will. It doesn't depend on a database. So I would implore your webmaster to look, because there might be a section of code that's on the website that's being exploited. I could talk to you more offline about that, Al.
Okay, interesting. Anyway, well, that's all I got. Sue's away, and we've run out of speakers, so anybody's got any ideas for us? At least I don't think she has anybody right now. But we're still trying to get more people on. And we'll let you know if we do.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alfred. Joseph Princiota, how are you, sir?
Doing well, thank you. Good weather up here. Hope you guys aren't too hot down there.
We're cooling
Question
down.
that has run through my mind listening to everybody today is really primarily how unarmed Walters was when he was before these people. Not only schooled in some basic stuff on debate, but he was literally unarmed as to what to say. And it is not right for us to push on him what to say. But it must be that somebody, Richard, somebody offers him support where he would request it. Who is in contact with him? This guy is out there doing a tremendous job opening the ice, breaking it through, but then he carries no cargo. And we're resting on his popularity. And I don't see maybe the road to supplying him with the few talking points and the simple way to present them, and knowing that the other side is going to sort of say this, and when they do, you'll be ready with this. That's a reasonable witness preparation, and I've been witness prepper for a long, long time in federal court and state court. I really know my testimony, and you can offer this man some support.
Yep.
That's all I've got to say.
I thought you were going for another Pink Floyd tie in there. You were getting close to the thin ice, but
it was here. It never got out here, thank God.
But yeah, he had Matt there, and Matt did say in his message to me there were some missed opportunities there, but he was trying to. He doesn't want to overstep his bounds, and seems like he's stepping on Roger's toes. But I understand what
No,
you're
you
saying.
see, that's the very hesitation. Nobody ever asks the pretty girl out.
Exactly.
Because she's so pretty. He is so accomplished. Who would touch his guitar?
Yeah,
he wouldn't
right.
want you to touch his guitar, but he's playing your guitar.
Ah, very good. I like it. Good
I just
point.
thought of that. That was pretty good.
That
Yeah.
was pretty good.
I'm
Thank you.
going to shut up now.
Thanks, Joseph. Good to see you. Sweet Jane, anything for the group? He's getting there. Almost. There you are.
Not as fast as usual.
All good.
Thank you. Not really. I'm always appreciating all the input here, but not anything to add. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jane.
He's the bass player, right?
He's a guitarist, yes.
You a guitarist?
I think he was bass.
Anyway,
My ignorance.
the article that you read earlier, it said he was the drummer.
No, that was the other guy. That was what the article was
Okay,
about.
sorry.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Jane. Brian, good. Anything for the group? Nope. Ross?
Yeah, just quickly, we have in terms of daily activism, which I think is very important. We, we all have the ability to interact with the internet, to the daily activism, and very few of us, myself, I think I'm the only one that can actually do a daily outreach project that is exciting and very, very effective, because I'm here in New York. So I've chose that route since it's unusual for other people to be able to do that, and I can do that, especially with the skateboard. So it has paid off a lot. I will next week talk about the young people a lot more in detail, and also we'll talk about the World Twin Towers World Learning Center project. Love to see that fly by. And but I would mention that the last thing the last story I had was yesterday, when the young people at this one place I frequent at the end of the day, when it's this bar that's very full of young people, just full of skateboarders and young people. It was full even during the soccer game. Anyway, to the two main doormen that know me really well said, Ross, you are amazing, and you know why we like you so much in your work is because you're out there every day. So we said, well, you're the only activist we know. We see these people come in and they come in for a day or two and they're gone. Said, we see you every day. And they said, we want to just tell you, you are the king of New York.
Right on.
So I will take that title, and whenever anybody asks me, well, who are you? I'll say, well, I'm the king of New York. And why? Well, I've been told that, and it's because of the daily activism on 9/11. So anyway, that's it for this week. Next week,
Donald Trump would be jealous.
I so appreciate your
know.
perseverance. And I mean, when I came down, I think it was the first week that I came down, people had talked about this 9/11 group that was there every weekend, I guess, since
Yeah,
9/11.
I was part of that at the end. I was part of that for 2 years.
And then
But they
you've
did it
carried
for
the
like
torch
8 years.
since. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, I mean, there was, and I just wanted to mention this about Phil, because what he didn't say is that I think for years, right up until 2014, they went out every single Thursday to a different intersection somewhere in Florida and gave out flyers all night long to cars
And
that were waiting,
DVDs.
and DVDs going up, cars waiting for the light to turn green.
Captive audience.
I just want to let me go to Phil next. Pardon me, Craig, because Phil, how many thousand DVDs did you say you handed out? I think.
Oh, gee, over the years, tens of thousands, but we weren't alone with that. We weren't. There were plenty of other groups around the country, even in Florida itself. But the thing that Sandra just mentioned, and I want to bring my other half, Brett Bresswell, with me. We're a team this year, like we were last year. His mom started that demo in September of 2005. Every Thursday night in Daytona Beach at the corner for over 9 years. Every Thursday night we were on the corner, and it started off where they tried to run us over, throw stuff at us.
Wow.
And Kathy, that was when she started the Code Pink, and that was before it really became political. It was more, it truly was anti-war then, you know. And then I was with Vets for Peace, but as the years went on, we saw how really partisan they were, especially when Obama came in. But more hat tip to Brett's mom and Brett himself for this, and yeah, me too. But I want to recognize, and I'm going to send a link to a 27-minute interview of the two of them about what you just talked about.
Yeah, put it in the chat.
Oh, very cool.
Thank you so much,
Yeah,
guys.
but again, it's just, you know, people like Ross and Phil who they walk the walk.
Yep.
You know, they just do it, and that'll always impress me. The people who just are not content to just do it from behind a keyboard, which we can be guilty of sometimes. but
Aye.
It's all needed. Everybody's part of this.
Everybody's needed. I
Right
agree.
on. Thank
I
you,
agree.
Phil.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Back to Craig. Anything for the group wrapping up?
Yeah, real quick. I would agree with Richard, what Richard said about, you know, at the very least, if we get somebody on a show like Piers Morgan, at the very least, send people to some websites or something, rather than maybe getting into an area that person can't defend. I'm not sure I totally agree with the comment that, you know, there's no point in giving talking points because the Piers Morgan team will have responses ready. I kind of doubt that Piers Morgan would have had any, you know, appropriate responses to the basic facts that we have to present. So I think it's great if we can maybe give some basic talking points to any sort of person that's new to the thing. And as far as Waters goes, I would certainly, it's ideal, I guess, if we have somebody with Roger Waters who is able to fill in the details and not defer to Roger Waters because he's a big star. And I totally understand, Matt, you know, I totally understand the challenge in that situation, especially if you're cut off early, but just, it's a learning experience, I guess, for all of us to.
Wasn't that, I may be misremembering because there's so many crisscrossings between guests and hosts, but I think that we put Raul on with Kurt Weldon, and I wouldn't remember on what show it was, but it was for exactly that reason. To have the one person there who's got, you know, who's got the accurate information, and the other one that's maybe the front man, quote unquote, who's the one being interviewed because he's the public figure or whatever. But that was exactly the thinking, but we don't always have that option.
It's nice to have a wingman.
It's nice to have a wingman.
Nice to fill in the details.
It's nice to have my wing woman. Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks, Craig.
Thank you.
Bob, anything for the group?
Not really. Thanks much. I'll just buzz off here. It's been a really good session with Roger Waters. I wish I could have gotten in on the very beginning of it.
Yeah, he's it's something else. Didn't see that one coming. That was very much a surprise. But thank you. Thanks for being here. Magnus, anything for the group?
Oh yeah, I wanted to say have a great week and thank you to everyone. And we are now having a conversation on YouTube on their newest Deep Purple song released on July 3rd called Guilt Trippin', where people are mostly saying that this does not sound like Deep Purple, it sounds like Roger Waters. And then I commented that their song Birds of Prey mentions that bad news traveling faster than speed of light. Good news not at all. So they are saying that it's the 9/11 part. So I asked them if they knew that they knows about the third tower and that Roger Waters is coming to Turning the Tide. And I've shared all the links I have to the newest projects on my YouTube videos.
Right on.
So I wanted to say thank you.
She's big on Deep Purple.
Yeah, that's all. I just heard Deep Purple. Are you saying Deep Purple just came out with a new song? And is it 9/11 related?
Song. Listen, they come up with a new song that doesn't sound like Deep Purple, but Roger Waters. So all the comments says Roger Waters. So I commented that the previous song.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm just curious if I'm gonna go check it out, obviously. But that song is not 9/11 related, is it?
Not that one, but Per Birds of Prey
Okay,
is that.
gotcha.
That
Okay.
is that the first chorus, and you can also find an article where the bass player is saying that the first image that crossed his mind was 9/11, but it goes far beyond that and the endless games of wars.
Okay, gotcha.
Very good.
I'm also collecting
you.
9/11 songs for the for that event. So,
Yeah.
you know,
I'm trying to
anybody
get
have
them
any
together.
songs that I may not have heard of? And yeah.
Thank
Well,
you,
you got to
Magnus.
have that Everybody Knows song from the Monitoring the Situation video that you published.
Yes, of course. That's
Yeah.
like top of the list.
Yeah.
Yeah. That and another one, but the other one's a little bit maybe too. There's a lot of that are teetering on the edge of vulgarity, so you got to kind of.
I think the other one is too vulgar, but anyway.
Maybe.
All right.
Quick question for Magnus: are you gonna stay up to watch Crime Scene to Courtroom episode 6 next Sunday?
Yeah, I can't
You
wait.
are?
And I have,
That's gotta be late for you, man.
firefighters ready. Everybody has removed me from Facebook, but I still have followers on YouTube, and they are ready. I'm still asking, when is the episode coming out? Is this a scam or is it real? Or I'm getting so much questions and
Aw.
weird stuff. So we are just waiting for that.
Very good. Let me get a
Plus, I want to
Jane.
help. Yeah, thank you, Jean, for great work. Have a great week.
You too, Magnus. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll go to Jane and then I'll go back to you, Bob. Jane, anything for the group wrapping up? Good to see you.
Well, are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Okay. I sat in on this call that Sherry asked me to join, and I guess it was the Maui investigative community with the fires and the issues they were having with fires, because they've had odd looking things happening with these fires. And so while I was sitting in on it, I was listening, and a lot of those people were kind of 9/11 researchers too. But they said that the fires were looking like the cars that were at the Twin Towers on the day of 9/11 also. And I got this book. It's by this, can you see it?
There we go.
Okay.
Lahaina Inferno.
Yeah, there we go. Lahaina and
Right. It's about the Maui fires. And I didn't realize there was 5,000 patents that this guy had found on directed weapons, energy weapons. And I'm not, I think that we have plenty of evidence on destruction of the towers with explosives, but I'm not averse to them experimenting with other stuff, confusing everybody too. If you want to destroy something, destroy it 4 or 5 ways, and nobody can figure it out after that. So when I look at this, they've got buildings that were reduced to white ash among the standing trees that weren't burnt. And I didn't realize also that there was 4,005. They were also looking at these data centers are getting put in the country. I think there's 3,000 that are operating and 1,500 that are going to be operating. And so they were saying that the building is over there in Hawaii, and these are the guys that were there, that had done the investigation, were reduced to ash, and they think it's from directed energy weapons. And they said, looking at the patents that they looked at, there was, I think, 5,000 patents. They seem to break it down to microwaves, plasma, and one other thing. I've got my notes at home. So it was interesting. And so again, I'm not adverse to, when I look at this, I did buy Judy Wood's book a long time ago. I'm looking at these cars. They look the same as what her looks like, as far as the pictures that she took. And she's got a real good pictorial on everything down there in New York on that day. So I'm not adverse to possibly directed energy weapons being used too. I mean, it's possible. Nuke, possible. Maybe everybody's arguing because they don't need to, because maybe it's a combination of different things that brought the buildings down. We don't know. I mean, if we knew, we'd be exposing it by now. But anyway, I thought that was pretty interesting what they were talking about. And this guy, his name's Paul Deslauriers. He was on Boston 9/11 recently. I'm sure Alfred knows about him. And he was very meticulous, very elegant, and spoke really well about what they're doing. And he's a regular activist organizer.
Yeah,
Deslauriers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Paul Deslauriers.
So,
He was a very
yeah.
early 9/11 activist, and now because he lives in Hawaii, I think he's focusing more on those fires. I don't think anybody questions that there's a lot to ponder regarding those fires.
I don't know that much about it, but they are interested in reaching the firefighters. So I told them, I said, you're going to have to put down some kind of 10-page memorandum to even educate these guys on something like this. This is totally different.
Thank you, Jane. I do want to preface, because we get into talking about directed energy weapons. Bob Greenyer did do a presentation with Mick where he showed that there were these crenulated microspheres, which was from some type of other energy source that was other than fire and other than nanothermite. So he makes a compelling argument that there was some other technology. I do want to make it clear, when you guys are going to see it all over social media, because it's happened everywhere. Norman Swanepoel and Matthew Estefo, they're proponents of this theory, which I'm not totally averse, like Jane just said, that there might be a possibility that some other technology was used, but it's their manner of talking to people. It's extremely toxic. They just, Norman just, I saw an email from him to Jim Fetzer wishing him death, like you're going to burn in hell forever.
I saw that. I'm like, oh my God.
And it's just like, this is the reason why I don't want to associate with Norman. It's not because of the subject matter. It's because he's a completely toxic person that I don't want to associate with. So just want to make that clear.
Right. I mean, I'm not inviting anybody. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
but
I'm just saying I don't think they were on that call that we were on, but there was big fires down in Georgia. I know I've got a big farm in Kentucky, and I'm concerned about people and people keep hitting me to buy that farm, and I don't want to sell it. But there's farmers in Kentucky that are fighting these data centers. One guy that's got a 1,000-acre farm up there, and he's not happy about them pushing him too. And so they're supposed to be putting 1,500 more data centers in here.
Yeah.
Everybody's fighting them.
Yeah. It's going at.
Sorry, Sandra.
No, go
I
ahead.
was just going to mention the Cheryl Curtis thing. She's on, part of the 9/11 Other Deep State Crimes teleconference with me, and she was involved in a data center fight in her area near Tampa, and they actually succeeded with the first. It's probably just the first level, but they were succeeded in fighting the data center and it took months, and ended up kind of getting them to pull back their application for a zoning change. But I'm sure she's ready for them to come at them in some other way. But anyway, just wanted to throw that in there.
If anybody's interested in checking that out, you go to 911teleconference.substack.com, and you can see Cheryl Curtis was definitely against but that's getting down a whole other thing of not 9/11 related. But thank you guys for sharing that.
Yeah. Well, it's related in a way, because the cars and some of the burning things that were burned that you saw. And if nothing else, Judy Wood's book is good for the pictures. because she's got so many.
Definitely
It's
got a lot of
100
pictures.
pages.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean the scenery you see in that is similar to what you're seeing in Maui. So I
Yeah.
mean, are we dealing with?
Yeah.
I know we're dealing with explosives, but are we dealing with other stuff too?
Yeah. And
Maybe we don't need to all be arguing. Maybe there's several ways they decided to do this. I don't know.
I say it a million times. We all agree it wasn't fire. It was something other than
Right.
fire. And I've been harping on Richard for I don't know how long to get a big fancy book too, and he's working on it from what I hear. So that's great with lots of pictures.
Lots of pictures.
Thank you, Jane. We'll go back to Mike, and then I can keep going around the room. Mike,
Me again?
yep. You put your hand up.
Yeah, I did. I put it up. I keep going over and over and over this. Maybe there were directed energy weapons. Maybe there were not. However, what is the best way to get to the evidence? I think architects and engineers and Richard Gage and all the other experts, I mean, tons of them have laid it out very explicitly. We've got the goods. Okay, so you begin there. And then if you can go, if there's evidence for other things, whether aliens, directed weapons, I don't care. Dinosaurs came back from the grave and did it. I don't care.
Lead with your strongest evidence. Yes.
Yes. Lead with your strongest evidence.
Whatever's going to open that door.
Thank you, guys. I got to keep moving on. I'm trying to wrap this up, and people are putting their hands up. So, thank you, Mike. David, what do you got? I want to keep going around the room. Whoop, you're muted.
This is just going around the room. I thought I had to raise my hand to go around the room.
Go ahead. You can...
I want people to know that I leafleted 55,000 deception dollars around the country, including 2,000 outside the Capitol as Rosa Parks' body lay in state. And I want to ask anybody who thinks the Nobel laureate outreach is interesting and you'd like to critique the video I'm going to prepare, I'd love to hear from you. If you don't know how to reach me, let Jean and Sandra know that you're willing to look at it and critique it also. Thank you so much.
Thank you, David.
Yeah,
nice.
If you send it to me once you're done with it, I'll be happy to send it to the War Room list and ask people for feedback. So,
yep.
Good enough. Thanks.
Carl, this will be your going around the room. What do you got?
It is. Have you pinned down the hotel discount any is it still the what's it called? The hotel you were looking at?
We were looking at the Knight Broadway, but they made things very, very difficult. They kept switching around things and changing the price. So it looks like the primary hotel, and there's no reason we shouldn't be able to get this under contract this week. But essentially the primary hotel is going to be the Harlem Aloft, which is just north of Central Park. The secondary one will be the Lucerne, which is not going to be as cheap as the Harlem Aloft, but it's an option for people who got money to spend, I guess. And the Knight Broadway. Sorry?
Oh, sorry. I thought you were stopped.
Okay, well, the Knight Broadway is the one that I think you were referring to. That was our first one. And it is absolutely the cheapest, but there's no discount rate. It doesn't have really good reviews, which is also why we pulled away from it. But we'll put it on the list because if somebody doesn't care and just wants to pay the cheapest price, then we suggest that they go through a third-party vendor to get a good rate, but they're not giving us a discount rate. So it's going to be mainly the Harlem Aloft.
But ballpark, how much is the rate going to be at the Harlem Aloft?
I don't want to pin it down too roughly, or too exact, I should say. I think it's maybe Richard knows better. 250, between 250.
Richard dropped off.
And 275 maybe.
I don't know.
The Lucerne's going to be 335. I know that for sure. But it's going to be under 300.
Okay, thank you. And question as far as potential speakers, I'm curious who is being considered as a speaker on JFK and how the geopolitics of his replacement with Johnson correlates to 9/11. And
Yeah,
I saw Jane Clark being on the call. I know she's been, I've sat down for dinner with her after JFK conferences in Dallas. She's aware of how information like in Laurent Guillenot's book about JFK has always been blocked at the JFK conferences. I'm wondering if Jane can comment on who would be a good speaker.
I'm trying to go around the room. Please, I'm trying to end this call. It's going over 2 hours and 15 minutes now.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about potentials until they're wrapped up either. So, but we could have someone really interesting is all I have to say.
Maybe Jane can respond in her 2 minutes.
I already went through Jane. Thank you. Who's next? I got JB. Anything for the group, JB?
I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you.
You realize that Bottomley is also JB?
Yeah, that's funny. Barbara, anything for the group?
Yeah. I guess just a kind of a personal synchronicities, because we're a family here. I was just 2 weeks in Scotland. I got back about 3 days ago, and when I was there, Jerry Burns and I tried really hard to get together when I was in Edinburgh, but he had to work and he couldn't. So next trip. But the real synchronicity is with Eugene, believe it or not. And that is my soul sister in Scotland. She is my dear, dear friend, stayed at the apartment with me in Scotland. And her name is Julie McGregor. And I found out at the dinner table in my apartment one night that what she said was that she's very into 9/11 Truth. She's very into Truth Everything. She's an incredible activist for Scotland independence, against COVID, for 9/11, a major organizer of huge rallies in Edinburgh and Glasgow. Amazing person. And she said that she was on, I believe she said, a thread with you or an X thread with you or something for a very long time. And so when I learned that at the table, I said, "You mean Jean Laratonda?" And she said, "Yeah, Jean Laratonda."
Wow.
And so I went into my computer and I pulled up Euron Sandra's, about 5 minutes of Euron Sandra's closing presentation at the DC conference. And she said, "Oh, wow, we both know Jean."
That's wild. All right.
Yeah.
What was her name again?
Her name is Julie McGregor,
I'll look it
and
up.
she would like to be on this war room, and it's my understanding anyone can be. I could invite her.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, if you want to give me her email address, I'll just make sure she gets the
Yeah,
the
I
invite.
will. I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
Wonder if she's related to Connor
Ah.
McGregor. It'd be something.
Now that would be
That'd be great.
Yeah.
No, but her father is a world-renowned historian of World War I and World War II and Hitler, and he is co-author of an extremely important book called The Secret Elite. So you're going to want to talk with her.
So the apple
right.
doesn't fall far from the tree.
That's right.
Huh. All right. Yeah, we're friends. I got to look into that. Thank you. Andrew, you got a mic? Yes or no? I doubt it, but let me scroll down. I'm not seeing anything. I think I got everybody in the room. Oh, Susie. Anything for the group, Susie?
Yes, hi. I just want to say activism-wise that I took Heated Richard's comment about just sharing links. So I've been sharing the event on all of the 9/11 forums that I've joined, and I share a lot of Harriet's paper, as well as all the 9/11 sites that Richard mentioned, the C2C, the Turning the Tide, the Richard Gage 9/11. And what I find is when people start talking, a bunch of garbage and touting the official story, they want to know what my background is or whatever. And what I do is just ask them, have you ever read a scientific forensic, journal paper before on what was found at Ground Zero? And I just include all the links, the stuff, and share that. And that's typically when I don't hear back from anyone. They're not bantering anymore. So I'm taking that as a good sign that either they can't respond or they're too embarrassed to respond if they actually took a look at it.
Yeah.
But nothing else for me except I'm still waiting. Isn't the deadline Wednesday for the tickets? Early bird?
No, we extended that, and we'll have a conversation with you on the side regarding that, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just waiting for the email. And
yeah,
Richard did send me the questions, but I still needed that. I don't know how to format that into a PDF for the flyer. So
yeah.
Yeah, I know you wrote it down. I know. And I know
I'm
you're
terrible.
really
I'm
busy.
sorry.
He's terrible. He's absolutely terrible.
I know, excuse. Yeah.
Sorry.
If you really want Gene to do something, then ask me, because I'll write it down and I'll harass him until he does it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll send you both an email, and that way you can supervise, Sandra.
If anybody wants to contact Sandra and me, Sandra and I don't know what it is.
Me.
Sandra and me. If you want to contact Sandra and me, contact@911warroom.com, and it'll email both of us. So I had two things that I wanted to share.
Well, we had.
Oh, yeah. First you.
Well, on that note,
you didn't get me either.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who?
But I'll wait. Oh,
I'm sorry.
The other JB. Phil also sent an email that apparently you promised him something about firefighters t-shirts.
Oh.
And he said, I am sorry to bring this up again, but by any chance. So
Let me look into that.
I'm hanging on to that email. I'm gonna.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll look into that one too. Sorry. Jack. Sorry.
If I'm repeating this story, please just cut me off. But I had a wonderful girlfriend who both her parents died when she was very young. And they worked at Raytheon in Massachusetts, which I guess is connected to MIT at that time, on radar after World War II. And there was always a question discussing this. They started building these radars that were much more powerful than they had in World War II. And that's when one guy had chocolate in his pocket and melted. And then they figured if they just brought a cup of coffee near the machine, it would start to boil right away. So that's how they heated their coffee. All those people got cancer and died, and their families were paid off. So,
whoop, did we lose him?
Yeah, we did.
It's not even Roy.
Wow. Sandra, did you have anything else?
Actually didn't.
Okay.
Somebody doesn't want us to know that story.
Yeah, hopefully he'll come back. But until he does, I'm going to quickly show the two little video clips that I wanted to share. One was we already talked about at the top of the show. Again, this is the Midtown building that collapsed. This is FDNY Chief of Department John Esposito. And he made just a tremendous statement here that I really don't want anybody to lose. And somebody would mute themselves. I don't know who that is. This is huge. He says, and I'll just let it play. And I actually have, this is the extended version. I'll just play the whole thing.
The way this building is constructed, it's a steel frame building. So it would not be a total collapse. It would be more of a localized collapse. But that remains our concern, that it's moving. The way this building is constructed, it's a steel frame building, so it would not be a total collapse, it would be more of a localized collapse.
And one more.
The way this building is constructed, it's a steel frame building, so it would not be a total collapse.
Wouldn't be a total collapse. He's talking about steel frame buildings. The fire resistant steel frame building will never collapse entirely evenly and through itself. Just wanted to share that one last time. And lastly, this is a really funny, it came from New Yorkers. He's talking about whose grandma is this? And she walks up and using a marker tags something outside. And I don't know if anybody recognizes this, but let me play it.
I've never seen an old person do graffiti like that.
He says, I've never seen an old person do graffiti like that. And I'm sitting there looking at the lady's face going, wait a second. And I hate to throw her under the bus here but not enough people watch us. That's our good old friend Fran.
Yeah, not Fran Shore.
Not Fran Shore. I won't
No,
put the last
no.
name, but yeah,
No, her
that's
name.
definitely Fran Taggart.
I never seen an old person do graffiti
No,
like that.
her name is not Fran. It's Fern Tishman.
Oh, it's Fern. Yeah, don't say the last name again, but yeah, Fern. That's right.
Fern.
Yes, that's great. Good for
Most
her.
active activist. In fact, you should give her that award at the conference. The most
That's
active
awesome.
activist.
Hey,
Pretty
Jean,
cool.
going back to
Can I ask one thing before I have to leave because I'm really in a hurry? Does anyone have the Department of Energy's 9/11 report? Gordon Duff told me there was one, and I don't know where to find it.
I think Richard has it.
Okay.
The DOE is what?
DOE's report on 9/11.
Oh.
I think it was done in 2004 or 2005. Gordon Duff said, look at his 2014, his newspaper for a solid year. And that's too much for me to do right now.
And Gordon Duff doesn't have it, Jane?
He was in a hurry, so no, but I'm gonna have to keep bugging him, but I haven't heard back from him. But if anyone knows where it is, I won't have to ask him again.
If I find it, I will send it to you.
Department of Energy report on 9/11.
The study of traces of tritium at the World Trade Center?
I think it was bigger than that. I don't know. More inclusive.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll put the link to that one in the chat right now for you.
I just thought the guy from Florida might know if he's still here.
Phil.
Phil Rustino?
I don't think so. No.
Yeah. Okay. Thank y'all. I've got to run. I'm sorry.
No, this
Thank
was
y'all.
2002.
Okay, Jane, talk to you soon.
Appreciate y'all. Bye-bye.
Yep. Yeah. And Barb, you were going to say something?
Yeah, Jane, could you put that quote from the top firefighter back on?
Yeah.
He's the head of the whole New York Fire Department.
He is the Department of Chief. Where did I put that? No, there's Julie McGregor. No, where the heck did I put it?
Oh, you
back
just
here.
had it on.
It's one of these. That one?
Well, it was the quote.
Yeah, I was trying to find out where I played
Well,
that.
you had the two videos on top of the quote.
Yeah, hang on. I got to find out what tab that was.
Well,
no. There it is.
Yeah. Okay. So based upon Richard's warning to us that we should never say just steel frame building, I think
Correct.
there has to be a caveat about that. So
Yep.
what should this is going to be brought up, I'm sure, at the event in New York City. So what should have been said in line 2?
Fire resistive is all what's needed, or a
And
type
that's type
1.
1, right? Type 1.
Yes. Yep.
Type 1 fire resistant building has
Resistive.
Or resistant, same thing.
Resistant? Okay.
Yeah.
And
I
I think Richard Gage has said in the past, shorter buildings of type 1 have come down, but not high rises. Isn't that correct?
Correct. And technically, even if it was just steel framed, if you just said steel framed, they've never globally collapsed. They've been local partial collapses, but a steel frame structure, I'll have to talk to Richard to verify this. I don't think there's ever been a global collapse of a steel frame structure. But let me verify that with Richard.
You mean whether it was fire resistive or not?
Yeah, I believe that's true, but I want to double check with Richard on that.
Okay, well, let's just have all of our ducks in a row when this is brought up at the conference.
Yep. Thank you, Barb.
Okay.
Last one, John, Jack, what do you got? And then we're ending it.
Yeah, the story I got cut off, and it's happened to me before when I
yes.
tell the same story.
Yes.
Anyway, the purpose of these monster radars was to be put in big trucks on military bases with runways, because they thought that UFOs were buzzing them. And so they would have these trucks and drive up and down the runway, and they would be able to shoot this very, very strong radar, which is microwaves, up in the air, and it would melt a plane or whatever it was. And I think that's where directed energy first started.
Very interesting. No wonder they took you down.
Right. Thank you, Jack.
Yeah. Well,
thank you all for being here. Good conversation. Have a good evening. Great week. Let's talk next time.
Back in a week.
See you next week.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.